a professional streamer, everyone. Professional streamer. You already know I've been talking for a minute. At least I caught it this time. You know what I mean? At least I caught it this time. All right, let me know if you're in the chat. Let's say hi. Let me know how it sounds. I need to first. Let's let folks know. Boom, boom, boom. All right, we're posted there. Where are we gonna go here? Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's do this. Boom, boom, boom. Hi. Hi, hi. Sounds good. Thank you for letting us know. Is Caleb here? That's a good question. Senor Caleb? Senor Caleb? Sure, we got somebody here. Making sure all the hooligans are under control. Okay, today we're gonna be reviewing all the Charlotte, North Carolina regional tournament stuff. Oh, before we do that though, let me show you. Let me show you what I did over the weekend. Copy link. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Let me show you what I did over the weekend. That's right. Right there. You see that name? Number 1? Who's that? Right there. Yeah. Got my first place win at a tournament. Rex was there. Rex knows what's up. Where's Rex? Right there, number 3. Third place, Rex Gaming. That was a good tournament. It was a good tournament. It was nice. It was nice. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I used the old Charizard deck. I was feeling locked in with it. Yeah. So this weekend, this coming weekend, I've got a league challenge. So there's gonna be lots of folks, lots of like people from around the state coming. That's gonna be good. I think I'm gonna go with the Charizard. There's a few modifications that I'm making to the Charizard deck. I'm gonna be testing out this week. Nothing crazy, but just like a tech card here and there for the mirror match a little bit. But league challenge, the big leagues. So we'll see what we can pull off there. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. What else are we doing? I think that's about it. I say we just dive right into it. So we're gonna watch the Swiss rounds on day 2, and then we're gonna watch the top 8, top 4, and finals. Finals was I mean, this finals was pretty hot. So yeah, the first one up. Let me adjust some things. We're gonna turn this off. I'm gonna go boom, just like that. And I'll probably at the beginning of the video or beginning of each of these matches do like a little intro, because I'm gonna cut these up as separate videos on the YouTube channel. So if you see me like introducing a little bit, that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing in the background.
Fernandez with the
so here we have Calvin Connor and Vinicius Fernandez. We got the Snorlax. Oh, hold up. My lights went off.
Yeah, top 8. Well, let's get down to the stage. Skarzig, our match is getting set up and getting ready. The players are at the table, and here they are.
All right, so we've got Calvin Connor and Vinicius Fernandez. And Calvin is running the Snorlax block, everybody's favorite. I hate that deck. Then we got the Giratina V-Star and the Comfey as well. So we'll see what we can pull off there. Hang on, I gotta have something. You know what I mean? There we go. Let's redo that. Start over. Check it out. All right, so here we've got Calvin Connor with the Snorlax block deck, Vinicius Fernandez with the Giratina Comfey deck. Snorlax block, I'm so ready to be obliterated. I mean, it's easy enough to get around with the switch carts and everything, but I guess you got to respect it as one of those decks that is definitely here. And if you don't do something about it in your deck, you're gonna run into it inevitably at some point. So this is the Swiss round 13 at the Charlotte, North Carolina regional event. And I'm gonna just pick it up a little bit. We'll just kind of run it at 1.5 times the speed. So Calvin Connor's 110, lost 1, tied 1. And then Fernandez has won 9 rounds so far and lost 3, it looked like. So right here, okay, so Snorlax block is running the Rotom. This is honestly the biggest hit. The Jet Energies, the 2 Jet Energies. Go back to that for a sec. This right here is a bigger hit, because those 2 Jet Energies are going to be really crucial for this Snorlax block deck. That might hurt. And then you got 1 Giratina V-Star. And then what you never want to see in a Lost Zone deck, is a Chorus's Experiment that lets you draw 5 cards, put 3 in your hand and 2 in the Lost Zone, because the Lost Zone decks are all about building up the number of cards you have in your Lost Zone, which is like the discard pile that you can never get anything from. You want to build those up to unlock different abilities so that you can play certain cards that require X amount of cards in the Lost Zone to be able to play. Or there's even some Pokemon that will have certain attacks where you have to be able to get so many cards in the Lost Zone to be able to do that attack. And one of these is Star Requiem, which is Giratina V-Star. You can't, it's kind of hard to see, but it says that you have to have 10 cards in the Lost Zone to be able to do the attack, and the attack lets you get an instant knockout on whatever Pokemon your opponent has. So that type of attack is going to be crucial So you really don't want to see Colress's experiments in there. And like I said, Jet Energies for the Snorlax block deck. That's going to be quite crucial for them, for sure. All right, so we've got our initial Snorlax out there. So Snorlax is going to lock in whatever is in your opponent's active. So you can't retreat, but you can use things like Jet Energy, or you can use Switch Cart or a Switch or Escape Rope, something like that, to get the card in and out of the active. So again, those are going to be super crucial here in the beginning. So it looks like Battle VIP Pass. We're going to bring up...
I've talked about this before with players, when trying to help, people kind of learn what to do against a stall deck whenever you're playing against a control deck. And it's an archetype that is trying to win in an unconventional way, right? You're not taking your normal 6 prize cards to win the game. That's the
get our 2 Giratinas.
TCG. It's trying to do something a little bit different, trying to force you to deck out, run out of cards. So Snorlax, a deck that's trying to win in an unconventional way, that means that you need to adjust your game plan going in, and you probably need to play in an unconventional way yourself. Yeah,
that's a great point. So, okay, so he's talking about how unconventional it is that you might bring when you're playing Lost Box, especially the Giratina Lost Box. Typically, you're trying to get Comfeys out on the field so that you can get Cramorant as your early attacker, because if you get 4 cards in the Lost Zone, you can use Cramorant for no energy to do 110 damage, which is pretty significant. But because Snorlax is such an unconventional deck, you really want to play unconventionally, where instead of doing the conventional bringing out Cramorant, getting the Comfeys, all that, Fernandez is opting to bring out the Giratinas instead, which has an attack that can help get some things into the Lost Zone. But it also gets those attackers out, because you know that Calvin over here, he's not going to attack at all. So you can't get knocked out. Your Giratinas aren't going to get knocked out, so might as well go ahead and get them on the bench. So we see Calvin here. He's now getting the Snorlaxes out. He is getting he's getting Path to the Peak out of the way. Fernandez put down Path to the Peak, which would stop Calvin's Rotom from being able to use its ability. So he's like, get that out of here. He put down a Temple of Sinnoh. And now we have the Hisuian Heavy Ball that's going to be discarded, looks like. We discarding the Hisuian Heavy Ball.
On Vinny to find the way to take some prizes when Calvin Connor's doing his utmost to stop that from happening.
Yeah, and the Giratina V is certainly the most important and best attacker in this matchup. It's got the excellent Shred attack for 3 energy. It deals 160 damage, which is enough to knock out the Snorlax. Of course, the Bravery Charm does make it so that it forces it.
Yeah, so you can see there, Shred does 160 damage. You can also use Abyss Seeking, which I said earlier is going to help you get 2 in the Lost Zone. So it says look at the top 4 cards, put 2 of them into your hand and 2 into the Lost Zone. And so it allows you to do damage, but also get things in a Lost Zone as well. So there's the Rotom. Okay, he was doing an Ultra Ball, getting rid of... no, he was using Hisuian Heavy Ball. Oh, to get his Rotom. That's what he was doing. So Hisuian Heavy Ball, go get the Rotom, put it down so he can use the ability, because he'll draw 3 cards, and that will end his turn. It goes back to Fernandez.
We're back over to Vinny's side. Flower selecting. There's a lot of things that you're loving to throw away into the Lost Zone with this deck in this matchup, and one of the things is basic Pokemon. That's a huge win condition potentially for Cal, is to use an Erica's Invitation to catch Vinny with a Manaphy or a Radiant Greninja, something along those lines in his hand, bring it to the active spot, something that cannot attack, cannot do damage, and then force Vinny to burn more resources, exhaust more resources, switch cards, those Jet Energies in order to get that Pokemon out of the active spot.
Vinny, after looking through the deck, knows what the deal is. There's 2 Jet Energies in the prizes, Temple of Sinnoh currently in play.
Yeah, so what they're talking about there is the fact that one of the win conditions could be that Calvin just bosses orders up a Comfey, which can't really attack. You're not really going to attack with a Comfey. And could just win by making, like, forcing you to keep these basic Pokemon in the active that can't really attack. And you exhaust your switch carts and things like that. And so that's actually a really good point here. So another good point as to why to bring your Giratinas up so early when you're going against Snorlax block and you are piloting a Giratina Lost Box deck. But let's say you were using, you know, the Lost Box Roaring Moon deck or Lost Box Charizard. Again, you would want to think about bringing up your attackers out first instead of your conventional Comfeys and things that could end up getting stuck in the active, and you're trying to figure out how to get them out of the active so that you can attack Snorlax. I really see what Fernandez is doing here. This is nice.
Have plenty of options, different things to play with.
Yep, and switch cart kept 100% of the time here, getting rid of Giratina V-Star into the Lost Zone. And of course, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so he had a Giratina V-Star on the flower selecting, and then he had a switch cart. Again, in this matchup, you need the switch cart more than you need the Giratina V-Star.
In order to get an attack off, right? You don't want to be using one of those precious switch cards for a turn that you're not putting damage into play.
Right, even though the Temple of Sinnoh has taken the Jet energy off the table, the fact that Vinny was able to start this Comfey in the active has given him this additional drip feed of resources that has ended up in this situation with the double Giratina V set up. Now with Path to the Peak to get rid of the Temple of Sinnoh, there's the Jet energy attached for return, bringing Giratina V into the active and set up to begin.
Okay, so that's an important thing. So if we back up just a bit, he had the, let's see, yeah. So Calvin had Temple of Sinnoh, and what that does is it stops Jet energy. Jet energy is a special type of energy, and so it allows it, whatever Pokemon you put the Jet energy on your bench, it allows it to go immediately to the active. The reason Calvin played Temple of Sinnoh is to say, Temple of Sinnoh says, all special energy attached to Pokemon provide one colorless energy and have no other effect. So it basically cut off that, like, switching capability. And so one of the things that Fernandez did here was, before he placed down the Jet energy so that it would have the effect that he wants, he's going to put down Path to the Peak here, get rid of the Temple of Sinnoh, and now Jet energy will do what he wants of getting that Giratina into the active.
We will see 160 damage laid on this Snorlax. It does only have 150 hit points, but that Bravery Charm allowing it to hang on. Just 40 HP remaining. Now will Cal respond with the
160 damage under the Snorlax, but because of the Bravery Charm, it adds 50 more. So now he has
control install decks. You're fine if your opponent takes 5 prize cards. You just can't let them take
180, so 20 more damage that he can do.
You just got to kind of figure out where the right time is to allow that to happen, because you want to activate your counter catchers to try to, you know, bring this Comfey back.
Really good effort from Fernandez here.
Active, whether it likes it or not, Chip. And what I like too now that Vinny has got the Giratina V in the active, got that first shred off. It is going to be
all right. So you can see Calvin responded with another Temple of Sinnoh to get the Path to the Peak out, because again, with Path to the Peak being out, he can't use Rotom to draw 3 extra cards at the end of his turn. But also he needs to cut off those special energies like Jet energy that can get things from Fernandez's bench onto the active. And so a good turn as a return call of, like, okay, yeah, you took out Temple of Sinnoh, I'm going to take out your Path to the Peak. I mean, it's kind of going back and forth. I don't know what the deck list is here, so I don't know how many Temple of Sinnohs he's running. I would imagine he's probably running 3 or 4. But I imagine that Fernandez only has 2 Path to the Peak, so that could be the only Path to the Peaks we see here.
Right? How much time do I have to stall out this game? How much pressure does Vinny actually have after expending the penny? This is already beginning a separate clock, not from the round timer, but the different timing of when do I begin this penny loop? How quickly can I thin down my deck to really get that up and running?
Now, at some point, Vinny will be able to utilize his Giratina V-Star to one-hit KO Snorlaxes with Bravery Charms, but it's really something you got to be careful about when you put it in play. If Vinny was to utilize Giratina immediately right here, he would almost certainly lose the game. He would just run out of energy cards, because Lost Impact forces you to Lost Zone 2 energy attached to your Pokemon every single time you utilize it. And that's a pretty poor trade-off when you're only getting 1 prize card. So at some points in the game, this Giratina V-Star will likely come into play.
Yeah.
In combination with like a boss's orders on the Rotom V in order to take 2 prize cards. But
So this is all about
a continued
energy
onslaught
and resource management, because as they were saying with Vinny's Fernandez's energies here, he would have to be careful with the V-Star, because the V-Star card, Lost Impact, could one-hit KO the Snorlax, no problem, even with the Bravery Charm. But it says to discard 2 energies, and that's a problem. You could Super Rod them back in, but if you only have a certain number of Super Rods, that could also be a problem. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when you're working against these decks.
Speaking of which, though, Vinny having to discard one of his Jet Energy, that's actually his last one available to him right now, the other 2 being in the prizes.
So the potential to bump the Temple of Sinnoh to get another Pokemon into the active, slowly shrinking down. And now Calvin Connor also has that hand knowledge. I see you've got 2 switch cards there, my friend. Now I can begin to adapt and adjust my game plan around that. If there is potentially an Iono to shuffle those back into the deck, just to deny those switch cards, make them additional prey for Misfortune Sisters, then Vinny ends up in a weird situation of something stranded in the active and no way to move it, and that's the deck out scenario that Cal wants.
Yeah, so what happened there is Sydney was used. Your opponent reveals their hand, discard up to 2 of any combination of Pokemon tool cards, special energy cards, and stadium cards from it. So he forced him to discard the 2 Jet Energies, which he's not going to be able to get those back. Well, that's a huge hit. The good thing is that he does have 2 Jet Energies in the prize cards, so he will be able to use more if he can start taking prizes, if Fernandez can start taking prizes. So again, Sydney, a great card for these control stall decks where you're really just trying to, honestly, you're just trying to make them lose all the cards in their deck so that they deck out, they can't draw anymore, and you win that way. You're not trying to take any prize cards. You're not trying to do anything like that. Yeah.
Exactly what Cal was hoping for. He's going to end this turn, as he usually does with the Rotom V, drawing 3 additional cards. Vinny, not being disrupted last turn, is going to just continue to attack. And we're going to get to a point in this game where it's going to be pretty straightforward what Vinny's doing every single turn. Draw and attack. Now, Cal did gain the hand knowledge from Vinny. Saw that basic Radiant Greninja in his hand and is going to combo that with the Erica's Invitation on the following turn. This was his ideal opportunity to bring that Pokemon down and bring it into the active spot.
Especially after getting rid of that Jet Energy with the Sydney, having the Temple of Sinnoh sticking in play for so long. After seeing the hand, is confident this is the right time to send out that invitation, and Radiant Greninja is now in the active spot. There is 3 Water Energy in this deck chip, but that Radiant Greninja is not going to be doing anything anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be so sure. There's a basic Water Energy in the hand, and, Mirage Gate could, lead us to some Moonlight Shurikens to take multiple prize cards. That is something that Vinny could go for. That is a pretty extensive use of his resources, however. We'll see if he does choose to go that route, and with this Super Rod being played, I think there's a shot we're going to see it.
Let me see. The hand has gotten so big, I'm losing track. That's Mirage Gate number 3, if I'm not mistaken.
And we do see the 2 energy cards going onto the active spot. Vinny
Well,
does have 2 Super Rod available to him, and this is really nice for Vinny because it's going to take 2 Snorlax out of play.
So,
take 2 prize cards, but
what happened there was Mirage Gate was used. Because he has 7 cards in the Lost Zone, he can use the Mirage Gate item. That Mirage Gate item allows you to take 2 energies, but they have to be different types of energies, and put them on your Pokemon any way you like. So what he's opting for here is to go for using Radiant Greninja to do, I think, a 2 prize knockout. It does. Radiant Greninja's attack would do 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So I think he could do 90 here and 90 here and knock out both Snorlax.
Almost more importantly, he's getting rid of 2 Bravery Charms. If he can limit those, I mean, they're a lot harder to get back than something like the Snorlax. You can put Snorlax back into the deck as Cal pretty easily with something like Super Rod, with something like the Team Yell's Cheer, and then get them right back with the
This is a big play.
But with those 2 Bravery Charms going,
but he does have to discard 2 energies, which again is hard to do.
Yeah, was this a misstep from Calvin Connor going for the Erica's Invitation? Maybe pulling the trigger on that a little bit too soon? Well, I didn't think the Radiant Greninja was going to pull it off either.
Yeah, the Radiant Greninja was able to get there. I mean, Cal did have perfect knowledge of Vinny's hand, right? So he had to have known that it was pretty possible, and he has definitely played this matchup a lot, so I have to assume...
So yeah, 2 prize cards. That's going to really help him.
But for now, it doesn't matter that you lose 2 Bravery Charm necessarily. You can get them back with something like the Silene later on, but he does still have the 1 more Bravery Charm, which we see attached now to the active Snorlax, but also a luxurious cape to boost the HP of another additional Snorlax later on. And, this play from Cal, by bringing up this Greninja Greninja allowing Vinny to go for the 2 prize cards, it does force a pretty large expenditure of resources, right? Vinny had to use the Super Rod, had to use a Mirage Gate, and that's really what these matchups come down to. It is a true resource war, and both players being aware of what the other one has access to.
Yeah, and maybe that is Cal Connor just kind of ripping off the Band-Aid there. Like, this Moonlight Shuriken is going to happen eventually. The longer I wait, the more likely it becomes. I'm going to give the two prizes now, get those, you know, energies discarded to the discard pile due to Moonlight Shuriken's effect, and now you're on a Super Rod to get those back if you want to try again.
So Vinny here has the Giratina V-Star, and he has Boss's orders, so you know, he could go aggressive after the Rotom V on Cal's bench. I don't really expect to see that just yet. We also could see a world where Boss...
Yeah, that's a good
Snorlax, but
that's
no,
a good
it'll be
call
Rotom V.
out. I mean, so this Rotom V is a 2-prizer that's sitting on his bench. So if he can get, so because he brought Rotom V up, he can now retreat as much as he needs. And then you can do a knockout, I think, for 280. Yeah, so he can knock out Rotom. And now he's just got 2 prize cards left. I mean, he's really done the resource management here to... Yeah, so Counter Catcher brings up... So now, because Snorlax is in play, Greninja is locked in place. And that is unfortunate right now.
Find an additional luxurious cape, as you mentioned, potentially to bolster the HP of this final Snorlax.
Yeah, I think what Cal needs to do here is buy time. So we're probably going to see him go for an Iono, try to slow Vinny down, you know, comboing the Iono with the Counter Catcher, bringing the Greninja into the active spot. This Iono is going to leave Vinny with just 2 cards, so it's going to give Cal some time to reestablish, build his hand back up, and find more things to work with, because the game is, you know, pretty much set on the board for Vinicius at this point. He needs to Lost Impact one more time, and then Star Requiem, use that V-Star power one more time. That's 2 more prize cards. That wins the game for Vinny. So Cal needs to buy the time, get to a point where he can reestablish, and that's exactly what has happened. Vinny can only draw a card and pass.
And earlier, we kind of saw this same idea chip, but Compe was in the active. Having that extra flower selecting was so important, not only to see an additional card every turn, but to get rid of your dead draws. Silene now coming through double heads.
Ooh, very nice. That's going to allow Cal to choose 2 cards from his discard pile, placing them on top of the deck in whichever order. So he's going to guarantee to be able to draw them. Temple of Sinnoh and Sydney being levied right away, deciding which route he wants to go, though.
Yeah.
And this is what the eventual loop is going to come down to. This is how Cal prevents himself from decking out. Now, he does have a Pidgeot V. That's a pretty easy way to ensure that you don't deck out as well. But the combination of Silene...
That is nice. The Silene... Flip 2 coins, put a number of cards up to the number of heads. So in this case, he got double heads. So that's 2 heads, 2 cards from your discard pile on top of the deck in any order. And that's huge because then you know what's coming your next turns. Yeah, that's a crazy card. Regulation F too, so it's going to be here for a while.
Plus Pow Pad, plus Team Yell's Cheer. You know, the Team Yell's Cheer puts back the Silene. The Silene can get you back any cards, and then if that all fails, you can use Pow Pad to put back both Silene and the Team Yell's Cheer at the same time.
Gotcha. So once that loop is up and running, you just take the card that your opponent hates most, and you keep playing it over and over again.
Awesome.
And it's all down to, again, these switch cards. Temple of
Yeah, so the Lost Zone is important to these Lost Zone decks because certain cards are... So the question, let me. I don't think y'all can see the chat. Caleb asked, can you briefly explain why he wants cards in the Lost Zone? The Lost Zone is what enables certain abilities on Pokemon and also allows you to play some item cards. So, for instance, Mirage Gate, which we talked about a minute ago, you have to have 7 cards in the Lost Zone, which this is his Lost Zone right here. And they also keep up with it on screen of how many they have in the Lost Zone here, the top right. And so with Mirage Gate, it will allow you to play the card if there's 7 in a Lost Zone, and that allows you to go get 2 energies, but they have to be different types, and put them on any Pokemon you want that you have. So that's an example of an item. An example of an ability is Cramorant, which isn't out on the field right now, but Cramorant's ability says if you have 4 cards in the Lost Zone, then your energy, you don't have to use any energy to do an attack for 110 damage. So you can attack for free without having to have any energy on Cramorant if you have 4 in the Lost Zone. If you don't, it takes 3 energy to do the attack. So that's why these Lost Zone decks are so like bent on getting cards into the Lost Zone as much as they can, as fast as they can, because it unlocks a lot of the gameplay for them.
Hanging out in play, Vinny running very low on energy right now after using that Lost Impact to KO the Rotom V. Sent 2 energy to the Lost
By
Zone.
Ono, both players shuffle, put the cards at the bottom of from their hand to their deck,
Now, Vinny does
draw
play
however
Lost
many
Order.
prize
After one,
cards.
hit the discard pile already.
This is important too, because this is the right time to use an Iono, and the Iono is so strong with these decks like Snorlax because again, they're not taking any prizes, so they have 6 prizes, which means because of the Iono, Calvin can draw 6 cards. But your opponent has to shuffle, put it at the bottom of their deck, and then they draw only 2 cards because he's got taken 4 prize cards. So he's only got 2 prize cards left, so he's only going to draw 2, and it makes their chances of having something to play much less.
Ready. Now, Cal has put Rotom V in play yet again. That does leave an opening for
that
Vinny
is scary.
to close out the game, but it's
Ooh, that's a
unlikely
2-prizer
at
right
this
there
point
on the
that Vinny
bench.
have all
So
these
if
boss's orders plus an energy card or a cult, like
if Fernandez were to knock out the 2-prizer, then
there's the boss. There's
Wow.
the stadium as well, and the stadium is going to be discarded from the effect of Sydney.
And
okay.
Cal Connor
So
looking at
Sydney
this,
allows him to
putting down the Rotom
put down
V,
a special energy or stadium in the discard. So he saw the path to the peak, and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna choose Path to the Peak to go into your
He's been down
discard."
this deck so much. Right now, what's the option? Penny has to come through to get this Rotom V out of play
Yeah, at
before
some-
Vinny can get this Radiant Greninja out of the active spot.
At some point, yes, but Cal should know that he doesn't really have too much to worry about at this moment. There's not really one card that Vinny can top deck that gives him the instant win, right? You know, maybe an escape rope, something like that. We know Vinny doesn't play escape rope, but Cal might think that there's an escape rope. If Vinny top decked an escape rope, he could flower selecting into a switch card, into boss, into an energy, something like that to try to win the game. But it's pretty unlikely that Vinny would find any one card to get him the win based on the other cards that Cal saw from the Sydney.
Okay, I see. So Arvin grabs for a Seal Stone, another big reason to put the Rotom V in play so that he can carry that powerful tool, use Star Alchemy, find that additional missing card. You need to put the, put the rest of your turn together. And is this going to be a resource that Calvin sits on right now, or is there a card that he wants immediately that you can envision, Chip?
You're probably going to sit on it for just a moment, and pretty soon he's going to want to start playing.
What did Fernandez just pull?
Enough to draw into from this Rotom instant charge.
Got 9 in the Lost
Has
Zone.
very low amount of
Oh,
energy.
switch card.
He's gonna want to try to get rid of those switch cards, but Vinny finding a switch card at nearly the perfect time. This flower selecting does hit a Super Rod and a Colress Experiment. 2 pretty good cards. Now this is
Probably
gonna
keep
put
the
Vinny
Colresses.
cards in the Lost Zone after this flower selecting, so that means that
No. Okay, so he dumps the Chorus's Experiment and keeps the Super Rod.
he doesn't quite have everything. If he has a Mirage
Puts
Gate
3.
right now, Boss's Orders brings up the Rotom. Mirage Gate
Okay, so he used Super Rod to put 3 energies from the discard pile back to his hand.
Vinny has it.
Yeah, I think that Vinny is on 1 copy of Mirage Gate left, if my count is right.
Yeah.
So he's played 2, 1 got Lost Zoned, right? Or maybe no, 1 got discarded from
Yeah, one got-
Misfortune
one
Sister,
got
so there's
discarded from
3 in the
Misfortune.
discard pile.
And so this is the race of Vinny gets Mirage Gate.
Penny
As
quickly
immediately
as he could possibly
scooped
do
up
it.
Frame 1, Rotom V, Counter Catcher brings that Radiant Greninja back into the active spot, trying to buy even more time. So now at the very least, no 2 prize Pokemon in play.
It just
Vinny
keeps going back and
still
forth
right?
pretty
Oh,
quickly
next
here.
card for Vinny is an energy card.
So-
he was 1 card away from just winning the game instantly because he could have bossed up the Rotom, attached the energy card to the Comfey, retreated, used the Star Requiem, and won the game. Literally 1 card away from Vinny just winning this game number 1, and he doesn't find it.
And now this is pretty awkward, as you mentioned, Chip, right? Where the Giratina V using the Lost Impact, Lost Zoning energy is pretty awkward now. After that Super Rod, Vinny still needs to draw into those energies that were shuffled into the deck because
So he's kind of looking through to see what he's played, what his opponent has played in the discard piles.
This Radiant Greninja out of the active, it needs to find 1 more energy for the Giratina V to do that.
And now we're going to see the Misfortune.
Oh, Misfortune Sisters. This is terrible. So Misfortune Sister says, look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and discard any number of item cards you find there, which is terrible because your switch cards, your switch carts, those are all going to be items that they can just discard out of your hand. And then you shuffle.
There's a switch card.
That sucks.
And I think that means that Vinny's on
Switch card
That is
getting
right.
discarded is
Right
rough.
now, we see 2 right there. 1 was played last turn, of course. Ooh, there are 2 switch cards remaining, actually. So
Okay.
that is pretty nice for Vinny. Let's see, 1 Jet Energy in the discard pile. So there's still a few of those remaining. We know there were a couple prize, but now Vinny, I think, has taken both of them out of his prize cards.
That is rough.
potentially in the hand and shuffle back in from the Iono. I did see 1 in the hand there, Chip. And this resource battle is getting pretty down to the wire. Path to the Peak, bumps
Okay.
Temple of Sinnoh. That means the Jet Energy
Here we
will
go.
be employed to bring Giratina V-Star.
Okay.
Star Requiem is online. Don't have to worry about this Bravery Charm and this Snorlax. Just take prize number 5.
It could be the Lost Impact as well, just Lost Zoning the Jet Energy here and then the Grass Energy here. We'll see which route Vinny decides to go for. It will be the Star Requiem. 1 prize card remaining. Can Cal
Star Requiem,
back
so
to
it's a
the
1
final?
prize card.
No, that's going to be one of his first cards played.
Counter Catcher, Radiant Greninja getting bullied. Back into the active once more. Vinny has a couple more shots to get this Radiant Greninja out
Temple of
the active
Sinnoh,
spot.
so Jet Energies. So you
Trying
put
to
down
make
Temple of
Jet
Sinnoh,
Energy.
which means special energies like Jet Energy don't do the special thing where for Jet Energy it helps it go from the bench to active.
Not work.
You have
He's
to
not
think
sure what else to
how many
play
turns
though. I
would
think he's
be
hesitating.
Just 1 prize card needed. Oh, that's pretty huge. Hitting the Giacomo.
Wow.
To Lost Zone the energy. That would have been.
Giacomo, discard a special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. Wow. Oh, wow. So in order to do the attack, Giratina needs 3 energies. One of them was a jet energy, which is a special energy. So Calvin played Giacomo, which I've not actually seen this card, but it says discard a special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. So if your opponent had a lot of special energies, you play this, you knock off that energy. Now Fernandez is in a tight spot because he has to find another energy. I think he's got a switch card in hand. He has to find another energy to be able to pull off the knockout and have the switch card.
Decent argument to actually go for the lost impact last turn. Vinny here does find the full risk. We'll be able to look at the top 5. Does he find a switch card? No switch
card.
Yeah, just a counter catcher. Not gonna be able to do anything with that. Nest ball, not doing much.
Has nothing really in there. A counter catcher.
Yeah, for Vinny, I think the 2 Pokemon to put down would probably just be the 2 cards to put down would just be the 2 Pokemon. They're the basic Pokemon, the Comfey and the Giratina V.
Alright, he gets rid of counter catcher and I think Comfey.
Maybe thinking that's not too bad if that gets Erica's invitation out. Of course, that Greninja already being in play is all Cal really wants to. Look at that, so many energy cards in the deck. 2 switch card in there as well. 1 jet energy I see. No Mirage Gate. Yeah, no path.
Okay, so he's got the switch card.
4 path in this list.
And yeah, Vinny had opened up the game with that path initially, trying to.
He's got a switch card in the deck.
Rotom V and immediately had gotten that bump by Temple of Sinnoh.
And all 4 paths are in the discard pile. So those jet energy are not out to get a Giratina V-Star into the active spot. So Vinny needs to at some point draw into a switch card and an energy card so that he can lost.
Yeah, switch card and energy. They're in his deck. The question is, can he pull it?
So that's the win con, folks. It is the Misfortune
Sisters.
Sisters.
Here. 2 cards from Radiant Greninja. There's an energy card, but no switch.
Okay, so he's got the energy.
Those switch cards remain in the deck, the higher chance for Cal Connor.
So he just needs a switch card to win. Pidgeot V, Forest Seal Stone.
Put those key supporters back in the deck and be Misfortune Sisters and a Penny being eyeballed. Iono as well, great choice.
Could grab the Silene, something along those lines, but it will be that Misfortune Sisters, and I think we'll see that V-Star marker flipped pretty soon to just go get the Misfortune Sisters. Cal recognizing the situation, he needs to get rid of those switch cards, but not doing it just yet. Maybe he has another plan up his sleeve.
Yeah, and this is a game of chicken at this point. How long do you want to wait? Do I want to be aggressive with finding these Misfortune Sisters and cycling them to get rid of the switch cards? That's the win condition. That's how Cal Connor wins. I would love for him to go for that right now.
And Cal does have a Misfortune Sisters in the hand already, so not needing to grab one out of the deck.
Okay.
So he can utilize that here if he wants to. He's actually going to choose to go for the Iono, knowing that Vinny has used a couple of turns to amass a decent amount of cards in hand, and off of just this 1 card, decent chance that he's not going to be able to find the win.
And with the 1 card, especially, Comfey's not in the active, so no flower selecting.
Right.
The odds of that 1 card being an energy to even activate Radiant Greninja.
All right, so he's going to use the Forest Seal Stone to go find 1 card in his deck. That's what the V-Star power earned it. That V-Star marker over. Just letting him know, like, hey, I'm using that. And that's what's nice about the ability for Pidgeot is that you can make it go back into the deck. All of it and all the cards attached to it go back into the deck, which is pretty wild. So that way, Calvin doesn't have this 2-prize card sitting on the bench that Fernandez could boss up and win the game. You use the Forest Seal Stone, and then you use Pidgeot's ability to get back into the deck, so not sitting there.
Yeah, so Calvin Connor, not only do you need to play your own deck in this matchup, you need to know your opponent's deck inside and out as they're forcing him to play through.
Ugh, that's got to be hard for Fernandez. Homie just needs 1 switch card
Misfortune
to
Sisters
win.
is huge. 5 cards.
Okay, Misfortune Sisters is big because it again, discard any number of item cards you find there. He's only got 1 switch card in his deck. If these 5 cards, if any of them are the switch card, then I don't know that Fernandez can win.
From the top, how many switch cards?
No switch cards.
No switch cards.
Where are the switch cards, Starzig?
They are hiding. I can't believe this. They're shuffled in there somewhere. And after
Wow.
one more time,
What a lucky break for Fernandez.
to potentially draw into the switch card to bring this Giratina V-Star into the active spot. Still needs 1 energy to be found.
Yep, it's a
to use
2-card
that
combo
lost
here to
impact.
win the game. Draw for turn on Vinny's side. Just a pass once again, Cal.
He passes. I didn't see what it was, but apparently it was nothing good. Oh no, another Misfortune Sisters.
Holding my breath right now.
No switch cards in that one too. Holy cow.
By a thread, and all those energies that were at the top of the deck get shuffled back in.
I think Vinny did hit a switch card in his hand currently, so he's waiting for a game-winning draw.
And that deck is pretty thin. That was 3 energy off the top of that from the Misfortune Sisters. Now shuffled into the deck.
Oh, Fernandez is so lucky right now.
Having to take a moment and rethink this position, try to figure out what to do. All he can afford is a pass. Vinny, the same on his end.
The pressure of every single draw
Wow.
that the opponent might have. Arvin looking for the deck now. Is there any item or tool that's important from here? Poke gear?
Yeah,
Right?
Poke gear just to find supporters here moving forward. Cal does eventually need to try to get his loop going. Use that Team Yells cheer in order to put back maybe some of these Fortune Sisters, get that Silene back. Silene to get back an eventual Palpad as well. He wants to have unlimited access to these resources, but you have to favor Vinny here in this position. He's really just waiting for
Switch
the one card to draw.
And Cal Connor, right? If he whiffs on his Fortune Sisters, can maybe go for Iono.
Oh, does Vinny have it? He picks his hand up. He's thinking, no, just a pass once again.
Oh, and Calvin drew into the Misfortune Sisters but didn't play it.
Yeah, holding off. I think he's assuming there's a decent shot that Vinny actually just has a switch card in the hand. That's something he's got to be thinking about. He's only seen 2 switching cards of some sort. They're both in the discard pile, so he's assuming that Vinny has those cards in hand. Maybe Cal here waiting to draw into an Iono, but he actually has Iono in the hand. Here we go, switch card into the Comfey. Let's see it. 2 cards. There's the energy card. Does he have the other switch card? I think he must.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got switch card. Nice. So Fernandez won because he had, I guess he was waiting on the energy. He had a switch card in hand. So he got the energy. He put it down on the Giratina. And then...
another couple turns to potentially draw into finding the Moonlight Shuriken.
Yeah. So he had the Giratina.
Tapping that off with
Nice.
the Giratina V-Star, taking so many prizes all at once and just building up this snowball of pressure and momentum. And
All right, so Fernandez won round 1. Going to or match 1. We'll go into match 2 now. Giratina, honestly, that's the best to have Giratina up there and locked in the active. Because then, look, if they can't counter catcher up another, Comfey or basic Pokemon that can't attack. So I think if you're Fernandez right now, this is a big moment, because what you want to do is make it where maybe you don't even put out Greninja, because again, your Pokemon aren't going to get knocked out by Calvin, because Calvin's not going to attack. He's just trying to block you. So that's not bad at all. Pidgeot, not too bad, not great, but
the Bravery Charm needs to be found, but this is already, even though Calvin has a very similar turn 1 to what he had in game
so he got the Rotom out of the prize cards. He's using Arvin to get Forest Seal Stone and a Battle VIP Pass, get his Snorlaxes out. He's going to get Snorlax up into the active.
Because if you start the Comfey, you're obviously not going to bench multiple. You're just going to get 1 card in the loss on every single turn. But if you start the Giratina V, you can freely go for that Abyss Seeking turn after turn. And this is the worst,
All right, so back to Fernandez.
Vinny's 1 starter.
Yeah, and Vinny could just keep this 1 Giratina V as the only Pokemon in play. You don't have to worry about Snorlax attacking into you. Calvin Connor already, spiraling, looking at the clock, trying to evaluate the situation. How quickly can I play this? How quickly can I thin my hand down, my deck down? Rotom V on the bench will hopefully contribute large amounts to that, but it's looking pretty rough.
Yeah, and you do bring up the clock, Skarzik, which is an excellent point, because that is a huge part about playing Snorlax in tournament play. We're playing Swiss best of 3, so that means in order to, win a set, you've got to win 2 games. And Snorlax, we saw from that first game, it took 35 minutes. We got 15 minutes left on the clock. Not going to be enough time to close out this game number 2. Really, Vinny doesn't really need to feel pressured to do much of anything in this game. He can just play his game.
If you're Vinny, you're not putting out
honestly,
anything but
Giratinas.
Giratinas.
There's probably not enough time for Cal to deck Vinny out.
The early pressure, right, of starting the Giratina V, combined with the onus on Calvin Connor to go for blind, potentially Erica's invitation to try to snag something into the active spot just to keep alive from this point is going to be pretty rough, because it takes so long for Calvin Connor's win condition to truly happen. And being at 10-1-1 means that he's piloted against several Giratina Vs, I imagine, very successfully. And it's just at this moment, Vinny had what it took in that final game. Because as we said, Calvin Connor went for the Erica's invitation in game 1, brought the Radiant Greninja up to the active after seeing the Mirage Gate, and I guess just wanted to rip off that Band-Aid, but gave up too many early prizes and too much early pressure before the deck was properly thinned.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised to see that Vinny put down a 2nd Giratina. He did that in game number 1 as well, which I was also a little surprised by. I didn't really say anything about it because I wanted to see what his game plan was. But yeah, the 2 Giratina V is interesting. It does just give your opponent another counter catcher target potentially. You can counter catcher around where your energy are being placed.
Yeah, and now you have to play, splitsies by distributing the energy so that you have 2 attackers rather than
Yeah,
just
so
selfishly attaching everything to
both
one.
just getting
And I
set
guess the
up.
thinking is that Vinny doesn't really care if Cal counter catchers up a Giratina V. Worst case scenario, you can just go attach Abyss Seeking, right, and continue to draw through the deck. And ooh, a pretty big Avery here, getting rid of 1 Snorlax at least. It looks like it will be 2 discarded. Vinny drawing 3 cards.
Yeah, Calvin Connor did pick up that Erica
Avery, draw 3
and this will come
cards.
down to, potentially a read.
If you
of,
drew
okay,
any
you have
cards
basic
in
Pokemon,
this way,
come through. And you can see Cal Connor's just
if you drew any cards in this way,
Abyss Seeking fully resolved, because the time
your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3. That's why he had to draw or discard 2 Snorlax.
Not the best Pokemon to hit, but it is better to be in the active than a Giratina V. Now, Cramorant can just freely use that spit and instantly attack every single turn. It's lost.
Okay, so this is what we were talking about earlier, where Cramorant Cramorant, so we have the Lost Zone up to 4, which is great. That's what we want. And then Cramorant's ability says if there's 4 in the Lost Zone, you don't have to use any energy to attack. So that's a 110 damage that you can do there, which is fine because you've got 4 in the Lost Zone. So you don't have to use any energy resources to use this to attack. But he's definitely not going to put any Comfey out there. Sure.
Is on your side. You got the win in game 1. I think the Cramorant could certainly just start swinging. The problem here, too, of course, is Pidgeot V's Vanishing Wings. You can drop some damage on it and then have that nullified.
Yeah, it does have to be on the bench, however, so that is something to think about. And Vinny is actually going to burn an energy card here. Attach Retreat. That's not too bad. He does still have a Super Rod. Now, one did get discarded from the early Misfortune Sisters, but does still have one remaining.
Switch Cart and Mirage Gate both offered up from the Abyss Seeking, and the Mirage Gate is sent to the Lost Zone. We've got
Ooh, Mirage Gate getting sent is rough.
Trying to keep track here. A lot of switch cards in the hand. The hand is absolutely massive for Vinny. Cal Connor just drawing cards with Rotom V, diligently sticking to his game plan, trying to find the right moment to strand something important in the active spot. Temple of Sinnoh has been hanging out this whole time.
Yeah, uses that Vanishing Wings to throw the Pidgeot back in there. Boss's orders, you know, why wait for your opponent to take a prize card with Boss's orders? You can just actively and aggressively gust a Pokemon into the active spot.
Forest Seal Stone still an option for Cal Connor. Vinny picking up
Mirage Gate's lets him go get
now
those.
you can turn on these Giratina Vs so they become true threats.
Giratina
But at least
Vs.
for now, Cramorant can still put down some pressure and some damage on the Snorlax in the active.
Yeah, is it time to go with the Shred? That would take a knockout here because there is no Bravery Charm on this active Snorlax, whereas Spit Innocently would just be hitting for 110, so could be worth it to go on the aggressive here, which means you're taking a prize card. And
it has the pass of the peak to bump the Temple of Sinnoh so that the Jet Energy attachment brings this Giratina V into the active spot. This saves you a switch card, which is great. And there's the Shred to take 1 prize versus that Snorlax. Calvin Connor promotes the second one. 2 were sent to the discard pile thanks to that early Avery. It's going to be Super Rod here, bringing those Snorlaxes back into the deck.
Yeah, all 3 going back. Of course, 2 discarded from the early Avery. Does need to have a replacement Snorlax if he anticipates this active one going down. He either needs to buff its HP with a tool card or, you know, have another one to replace it and be okay with this one being KO'd. He also needs to find a counter stadium to get rid of the pesky Path to Peak so that he can activate his Rotom ability. And sure enough,
yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
so he can use Rotom.
Connor's had to tolerate
bring up the Cramorant
at all this set. Has all the Temple of Sinnohs. Bravery Charm now attached to the Snorlax, and Cramorant being brought into the active with Counter Catcher.
I mean, it's annoying because, you know, now you got to do 2 attacks to Snorlax with Cramorant to be able to knock it out. But to be honest, I mean, it's still fine.
Just because of the way the best of 3 rules do work, Vinny will be declared the winner, but Calvin Connor's still going to try and get this deck thinned down thanks to Rotom V, get that loop started, and just get Vinny to deck out.
Right away to the front of his hand, Vinny brings his Boss's orders and Giratina V-Star. Are we going to see him go aggressive after the Rotom V on the bench? Pull that to the active spot, take 2 prize cards. Let's see if that is the route he wants to go right away here.
Yeah, but taking 6 prizes as the main win condition of Pokemon, it's difficult for Cal Connor to stop that from just naturally occurring as time passes. As long as you have enough Pokemon with consistent enough damage output,
so he's going to boss up Rotom, take 2 prize cards. He's just got to get Cramorant out of the active. Yep, so retreating.
Retreat from the Cramorant. We're going to see the 2 prize cards here, and it is important for Vinny to try to take 2 prize cards at some point off this Rotom. The longer he waits, the more likely it is that Cal Connor can just use Penny to pick
he's
that
down
Rotom
to
up.
3.
Actually, Vinny does have Super Rod and Boss's Orders and an Energy in his remaining 3 prize cards.
Yeah, so after taking those 2, he is set up for victory, but Pidgeot V going...
He's also up to 10 in the Lost Zone, so, you know, if he's got a Sableye, he could use it to spread 120 damage. That's going to be good.
Combination of tools, special energy, and stadiums, and it looks like a pair of jet energy going down most likely.
Yeah, sees that there's no Path to the Peak, but still wants to get rid of those jet energies right now. And then, of course, is going to look and see all the switch cards, sees the Boss's orders.
All 4 of them. All 4 switch cards in Vinny's hand currently.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so nothing is getting stranded in the active here until an Iono is played, and Cal Connor sees the writing on the wall. How can he adapt to this chip? Is there any hope?
It's definitely looking.
I think Calvin's
Vinny might just win this game outright, and we might not have to worry about the whole, you know, winning game 1, and it's a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, but after Sydney reads the hand, Counter Catcher brings up the Cramorant. Vinny can just use a switch cart here, bring Giratina.
Don't think he's got it.
Lost Zone. Star Requiem might be the option. There needs to be 1 more energy attachment somewhere to make Lost Impact online for the final prize, potentially.
Yeah, with 3 prizes remaining, Vinny has to make sure he levels his resources really wisely here. You know, Star Requiem for 1 and then Lost Impact twice. And I think he has exactly enough resources to make that exact play happen. For now, though, he'll try to sneak in a KO with this Cramorant where he can. And this does force Cal's hand a bit. It forces him to play Penny more than likely. It means that he's not going to be able to play something else. But
goes for Arven instead.
Yeah, maybe that means that there's an incoming switch cart in Cal's hand currently. Could be the case.
Yeah, just thinning out the Forest Seal Stone, picks up a Nest Ball, needs to find another basic Pokemon.
And we'll play the Nest Ball right away, just getting another Snorlax to replace this one if it were to go down.
And so there's 3 Pokemon in play, 3 prizes remaining for Vinny. This is, he sees the objectives all laid out before him with 3 Bravery Charms. These are pretty respectable, but that's just, you know, Cramorant hits twice. Is that going to be enough time?
Vinny's going to draw for turn. Does have an energy card. Can load up one more attachment to this Giratina V-Star. And once again, will just spit innocently onto the Snorlax. Cal has a penny in hand. Already bringing up a counter catcher, and he's going to bring up this Giratina V.
Yeah,
this is what I was kind of meaning. Yeah. Now, this is going to be, I think, fine for Vinny. We know he has a million switch cards in his hand, and that's exactly what we're going to see here, but Cal is forcing him to expend those resources.
Ooh, and opts for the Giratina V-Star. Now with the additional energies in play, goes for Lost Impact.
It's going to be one prize card drawn here. Does hit the energy.
Down to 2.
2 out of 3 prize cards there for Vinny were pretty good. The boss, not super useful now at this point, I would say, but either Super Rod or the basic energy is pretty good. Cal, right away, uses that boss, passes back over to Vinny.
Yeah, I
right
think
now,
Vinny's got this.
Like
He's
Connor's
just got to get
mentioning,
the...
I'm going to go down to you having one prize card remaining. Go for the Iono to 1 strategy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to have to see, but I think Vinny is in a decent shot to just close this one out here. Cal having to go for a counter catcher plus a Iono play almost definitely does hit the Iono from this Pokegear 3.0.
That is very fortunate. Vinny with a massive hand. We know that all the switch cards are in hand. And especially after drawing that energy from the prize cards, that's going to be shuffled down to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, and after playing Sydney as well, Cal is totally aware of what Vinny has access to in this hand. So Iono to 1 is going to be the play. And it's going to be the waiting game here. I think Cal probably knows the situation, knows that he's unlikely to win this game, regardless of time. You know, Vinny may just win the game naturally, but that's a pretty good draw, honestly, finding that.
Iono down to 1 card.
Chorus'
experiment to get, I bet he gets it here.
Calvin was really hoping to have more time than this to build up a hand, to build up the resources, but a Chorus off the top really negates the Iono, and plenty of energy is to be had.
Yeah, and we do know
Energy
that all the switch cards
there,
are
he's
on
gonna
the
draw
bottom of the deck, so he is
more.
not going to find them, so actually even just choosing to go for the pass, not even worried about Abyss Seeking. 5 cards from the top from Miss Fortune
Mirage
Sisters,
Gate's
Mirage
there,
Gate being
but
discarded, but no switch cards, and honestly, this is pretty solid for Vinny because it shuffles the deck. Now those switch cards are going to be live potential draws for the game winner. That's all Vinny needs here to close this out. Let's see if he can get it. 1 card to draw. Is it a switch card? Yes, it is!
Right off the top, bringing the Giratina V-Star into the active, and that is 2-0 versus Snorlax Stall.
Wow, what?
There it is. I mean, that is the... That's Snorlax and Giratina V. I mean, if you've got the right combination of switch carts, switches, just, you know, switching options, like the jet energy as well is super crucial there. Any deck can definitely go up against the Snorlax. I think it's when you don't have those. And we saw that at a regionals in 2023. I think it was maybe Stuttgart or somebody. One of the regionals, Snorlax won. And I think it just wasn't being respected as a deck. And so the next regionals, everybody came ready with switching options, and it's just not done as well then. So yeah, it's a very interesting way of playing the control stall deck of it all. It's not how I prefer to play, but you know, it is what it is. All right, let's go on to the next round. This is round 14. Let me get this. Answer a message real quick. All right. I'll be right back. Be right back. Be right back. I'm like a the pro. I'm just happy to be here. Well, good. I'm glad you are, Caleb. I'll be right back. Caleb's in charge. Now that he's gone. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. On to round 15. We got Roaring Moon versus Giratina V-Star. Lots of Giratina V-Star, Lost Zone goodness in Charlotte. Like lots of it. It's a really, really solid deck.
Very exciting
for
two
sure.
players that
I
was really interested in Aaron's list. It has a lot of intricacies. It's not that specific. That can.
so let's take a look at the prize cards.
It's gonna be interesting to see who's actually going first. Does it look like Aaron? It's gonna start things off here. They won't
Let's
be
see,
attack
where's the prize cards?
Yeah, that seems to be.
So prize cards, we've got everything upside down on the Roaring Moon. Dark Patch on Roaring Moon, you definitely don't want to see that. I mean, it's a way Dark Patch lets you go find a Dark Energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon in play. A way of getting energy acceleration out there. The Forest Sealstone can be detrimental, just depending on if you need to get something out of your deck or not. Are there other decks? Caleb asked, are there other decks outside of Giratina that are super prevalent? Yeah, I mean, you got the Charizard deck, the Miraidon deck, there's the Shinpal deck, there's the Gardevoir deck. But I would say that there's not a deck that has been as like that has stayed in the competitive scene as long as Giratina has. Like Giratina's been in out for, year and a half now, I think it was. Maybe a year. And, decks come and go, but this one seems to have been around, like stayed around quite a while. So now, next year in 2025, when the F regulation cards rotate out, it'll go away. But for now, I mean, I really think it's here to stay. It is going to lose. So Battle VIP Pass is a card that's an E card, E regulation. That goes away in April. But really, for the most part, I think there will be some cards that it can use to stay in there. Yeah, nothing as crazy dominant as this.
Be the typical inclusion now. A lot of players eyeing up double Cramorant and single save live. Isaiah has had to make some cuts in order to add some of those fringe inclusions.
Not too bad though for the rest of the cards there. It's gonna be interesting to see who's actually going first. Does it look like Aaron? It's gonna start things off here. They won't be able to get that good attack, but
these are two decks that really like to go.
Rogue
second.
Moon,
See,
use a
both
nest ball.
players,
Let's go
obviously,
get
the
another
roaring
basic.
moons that we've
Maybe
seen on
another
screen.
roaring
That is
moon,
very aggressive
probably.
starts, potentially accelerating upwards of 3, 4, 5 energy onto the board and taking knockouts on that opening.
Who I
shot
think's gonna
seconds.
win this?
Could have been Isaiah
I don't know.
winning the
Like I
flip, but
really
passing that
think
over and trying to make the most of
Isaiah
maybe Cramp, whatever
Bradner.
it may be.
Like I feel like Giratina's doing so well. I think it's got a real shot. Roaring Moon, I feel like, is in this weird spot where you're just trying to like figure out the right combination of cards to make it really be the best it can be. I don't know that it's the best it can be. I know Frenzy Gouging, the second attack for Roaring Moon, is an instant knockout, but it gives you 200 damage, and then you've only got 30 damage left to get knocked out. So like against the Charmander deck, against a Charmander that can do 30 damage, if you knock out my Charizard for 2 prize cards, I'll just come back with a Charmander for 30 damage to knock out your Roaring Moon. So it's just, I feel like it's in this awkward spot. But, you know, you can't underestimate it at the same time right now.
As early as next turn with the Sada's Vitality.
All right,
start
so
to
you
get
got
aggressive pretty
Squawk
quick.
abilities,
Isaiah
use the ability
only
Squawk
has a
and
mana fee, right?
Seize to get rid of his hand and draw 6 cards. So he can get some fresh stuff out. Use Earth and Vessel so that he can get some energies out onto the field. Or sorry, into his hand.
And now we
Got
see
some energies now in the hand.
energy. And this is going to be for the Iron Hands EX. Amp you very much. A attack that scares all Comfey owners, as we know that this is a great way to start to steal some additional prize cards.
Well, there is that lightning going to the discard. 4 concealed cards, 2 more cards for Aaron here. Drawing a lot of cards for this beginning turn, but will not have access to something like that Professor Sada's Vitality until the following turn. Looks like an Ultra Ball being eyed up. Ooh, that's 2 Sadas now in the discard.
Yeah, that's got to be some alarms going off in Isaiah's head as he sees all of these great resources being thrown away. It makes you wonder, okay, what is in your hand then? if that's a bad card, I'm afraid to see what's good.
Just a lot of energy switches, most likely.
And sure enough, that's the card that we see in the window of the hand. Clarion Moltres V is going to find an additional energy by way of the Dire Flame Wings. And we know that those energies can accelerate very quickly on this board state.
And Aaron also has that 4 Sealstone in hand, which is more likely going to be attached to that Galarian Moltres V, so you can get some use out of that Star Alchemy, V-Star power, being able to just grant your Pokemon V that powerful ability. Isaiah has started the Manaphy, which can be good against a surprise Moonlight Shuriken from Aaron, but starting things off with a very powerful supporter in that Colress's Experiment.
Yep, this is the way that you want to start all of your turns, have that Colress Experiment, build the hand up, and then from here, obviously looking for some of those switching effects, Battle VIP Pass, whatever it may be. We've seen Pat to the Peak occasionally as a pretty important card in matchups like these, just trying to shut off some of those additional abilities that grant Aaron some additional energies, and so maybe you could slow down maybe that Radiant Greninja as well on the other side.
Now Aaron does have 4 counter stadiums in Pokestop, trying to just speed through the deck yet again, but wow, big item here for Isaiah, that Battle VIP Pass. It's going to allow him to find some Comfey, but more importantly, search the deck and figure out what's prized.
Yeah, and this is the first deck search for Isaiah, so certainly need to take that time to understand what you are working with here. Spiritomb could be an inclusion that you think about early in a matchup like this. This is something that
All right, so Isaiah's grabbing 2 basics.
You see that that Moltres on the other side. You know what? Actually, I don't like when you just get energies every turn.
Yeah, it's almost a free bench too. You don't really need a full bench in a matchup like this. And having access to kind of just slow your opponent down with that Dire Flame Wings is always beneficial.
And from there, clearly, also, you have to think about the Comfey. Starting to burn through the deck, get more cards into the Lost Zone. Just that classic strategy of trying to reach at least 4 in the Lost Zone to do something impactful, but
Yeah, so his strategy right now is really to get 4 into the Lost Zone so that he can try to get a Cramorant online.
That'd be useful for Comfey. And to get that Manaphy out of the active spot. And is there another Battle VIP Pass in hand?
I saw red coloring.
I saw red. It's either that or what?
Don't.
Oh, Ultra
Yeah,
Ball. I don't know.
it is a
There's
double
the
one.
second one here, and this hand is looking pretty good here for Isaiah.
Yeah, obviously, there's some decisions.
He's got a Comfey. He's probably going to grab Cramorant and Comfey.
So obviously, can evolve it into the V-Star, start to apply some pressure to these higher hit point Pokemon, and maybe remove them by way of lost impact. But there's also a bit of a game here where you have to start to consider: do you want to get that
It's a
Spirit Tomb established,
Comfey.
start to shut down your opponent, or you want to work in a Cramorant and try to damage these Pokemon, maybe avoid some of that frenzied gouging, which could be an issue.
Or Spirit Tomb.
There we see that Spiritomb with its fettered in Misfortune ability. This will shut off that Galarian Moltres V.
Oh, so Spirit Tomb, basic
It's really the only
Pokemon V in
target that you're gonna
play
shut off, but it's gonna put in a
have
lot of
no
pressure,
abilities.
hopefully, for Isaiah.
So Moltres here can't go get new or another energy out of the deck every turn.
If you're gonna play 3
This is
cards,
smart.
the answer is Battle VIP, Battle
I
VIP,
like
always
the Spirit
Not making a
Tomb
starter in the active, but that's what
Comfey
it
play
switches
there.
and Jet energies for,
That's why they did it?
and because they're fun.
Oh, yeah. Flower Selecting gets rid of the water. Don't need that with the Radiant Greninja in the Lost Zone. And then we're going to see retreat to the second Comfey here.
The blatant disrespect towards Rain Splash, you know?
I know.
How dare you, Jeremy? 4 cards in the Lost Zone now. After this Flower Selecting, I believe there was a switch in the hand. We've already seen the energy attachment, so no Abyss seeking into big knockouts on the other side. And the question now is there a way to find a Cramorant? Does not look like that's going to be the case. Pass the turn.
Still not bad, though. 4 in the Lost Zone, but only 1 Giratina V on the bench. So if Aaron does find the 1 copy of Boss's Orders in his deck, could be able to maybe pull off a big attack. But
All right,
there's a lot of
Professor
ways to do that.
Sada
here.
lets
That's the
him go
third
get
one.
energy.
Attaching 1 energy, though.
Choose up to 2 ancient Pokemon and attach basic energy from your discard pile to each of them.
Continue to burn through the deck. We've seen resources flying left and right.
Pokestop.
Rightfully so. This is just how you have to
Look
play
at
the
the 3 cards. Keep the items in your hand.
Start to open this up a little bit.
Ooh, Iron Hands went to the discard pile though.
Found with it, so really it's almost free.
Pokestop says look at the top 3, and whenever you have an item, you can put it in your hand. Anything else has to go to the discard. So it's risky, but it gets you what you
Isaiah
want.
thinks about that rightfully so. As you know what, I don't want to be tempted with this Radiant Greninja. And I don't want my opponent to pull this active and genome hack it at all.
Yeah, Mew EX is one of those cards where ever since it came out, people were like, oh, Giratina's done for. Lost impact with genome hacking. Can't beat that, right?
Right.
All right.
And this certainly is a matchup where you can be intimidated by this. You can be surprised by the Mew by way of Thornton. You can start to attach additional energies to it now where it's not currently a threat. But anytime that you see that Giratina V-Star, you know that the Mew could easily knock it out the very next turn.
Yeah, usually we only see intimidation in VGC.
All right, now we're gonna have to start seeing some prize
Who has
cards
the
taken
Gyarados or the
Incineroar.
There we go, yeah.
Hisuian Arcanine. There's the energy
from
switch.
Aaron's
Dark
side.
Energy off, that Galarian
If
Moltres
he
V.
wants to keep pressure
Still
on,
one energy
I think he really needs to put pedal
There's
down.
that Palpat, putting back that 1 Boss's Orders that was in the discard already, along with Asada's.
It's nice to know where those resources are, and thankfully playing some helpful item cards like that in an engine that throws away resources left and right. Those Pokestops, it makes you think about the Kyogre builds of old, just burning all these resources.
There's so many liabilities to.
This
There's so many liabilities here on Aaron's side because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 prize cards on the field. Radiant Greninja is just a 1 prizer. All the rest of these are 2 prizers. Isaiah's in a different situation. 4 of his are 1 prizers, and only the Giratina is a 2 prizer. So, you know, that could buy Isaiah some time.
All right, Earthen Vessel found off that Star Alchemy. This card's Ultra Ball to get 2 Dark Energy. This will open up concealed cards as well as that attack for the turn. And important to note, Aaron's going to take a knockout on this Manaphy, which will open up a Moonlight Shuriken play for maybe the future, but we'll have to see. And ooh, Boss's Orders found off the top.
I like this from Aaron,
Art-
fanning
Art
out those different basic energies to keep track and identify that maybe you can pull those out at the right time and maybe work in one of those interesting attackers that we know of.
Really debating hard here, but we do see that 3rd energy on Roaring Moon.
Okay, so Roaring
But
Moon
just a retreat to Radiant
is
Greninja here.
activated.
And Aaron's going to take it
very,
slow.
very passive, but
Wow, that is
you can
slow.
understand where this play is coming from. If this Pokemon were to be knocked out, if you lose the Roaring Moon in this spot, it does not look like you're going to have another attacker ready to roll. And that is the power of the Spirit Tomb, shutting off the energy acceleration by way of the discard to the Galarian Moltres, which usually starts to share those energies with the energy switches.
Well, Isaiah has
So let me tell you
10
why
other
he
goals.
did that. So the reason why he didn't attack here, he knows that Giratina V could be put into Giratina V Star. And if Isaiah were to get 10 cards into the Lost Zone, he's at 6. All he needs is 4 more, which is 1 Colress's Experiment and 2 Comfeys could get him 4 more. So he knows that there's the possibility that he could get up to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, which Giratina V-Star's power could instantly knock out the Roaring Moon. So had he brought up Roaring Moon instead of Greninja to knock out Manaphy to get one prize, he could have been met with Isaiah returning and knocking out his Roaring Moon. And then he really doesn't have anything on the bench at that point to return that. And that's unfortunate. So instead of putting gas on it, he's playing it a little bit more like slow. I don't know that it's necessarily the wrong move, but that's just the strategy that goes into this. Are you going to slow play it and you're fine with the other person getting set up more and getting more of the cards in their hand that they potentially might need to beat you? Or are you wanting to like put pressure on and really like try to make them go off their game because you're already taking prize cards? This is definitely what separates, I think, you know, people that play in regional tournaments and people that just play locally, is thinking like that. And I'm one of the people that just play locally. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But that's why, you know, even though he got Roaring Moon set up, he didn't use it because he wants to play it a little bit slower. And he must be okay with Isaiah setting up his side of the board a little bit more.
Experiment to start things off. It's going to mean 6 in the Lost Zone and a couple more resources to the hand. Does get rid of a Roxanne, though.
My favorite flex.
There is 2 in the list.
Yep. You throw one away, say there is no late game, and that Jet Energy means that 7 cards will be in the Lost Zone. Question is now, which Pokemon do you want to incorporate into the mix? You have that open bench slot, so maybe a Pokemon like Cramorant could get some chip damage onto the Radiant Greninja. But a card like Escape Rope would be very nice in a spot like this. I feel like that was one of those cuts that he continued to make, and sure enough, it is.
Yeah, just 3 switch in the deck.
3 switch, 2 switch card.
And now the Cramorant play could be pretty good here if you had access to that Sableye, but it's in the prize cards towards the top, too. So having that 110 damage just stay on that Radiant Greninja might be a little troublesome.
Rain Splash.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Lining it up. You can fade out twice. Got to see all the lines. That's the beauty of Giratina.
Spinning attack.
There you go.
All right, so put another
Double
Giratina out.
set up. Seems like a pretty solid strategy at this point in time. Now it is the battle of the boss's orders, it would look like. If you could see 3 Giratina V-Stars up against whatever V or EX Pokemon is on the other side.
All right.
There is a retreat to another Comfey Flower selecting yet again. Plenty in the Lost Zone for Isaiah here. Does get rid of a Super Rod, finds that second Roxanne, so had to keep that card. Is there access to any Switch or Mirage Gates? Ooh.
Ugh.
That's
Well, we found a Mirage Gate. Did lose 2 energy.
Got a Mirage Gate off the
So it has to be running pretty low.
Pokestop.
We do see that V-Star being evolved.
Okay, so V-Stars
Path to the peak. Not bad here.
there.
Just a pass. Both of these players taking this matchup very slow,
Okay.
trying to force the other to make the first move.
Yeah, I mean, it's an intimidating process. You understand that the counter action is right there waiting for you. Instant knockouts on both sides of the board, and you're trying to map out those prize cards. The one benefit that Isaiah currently has going into this is he can just continue to build his hand. And if you hold on to cards like Boss's Orders, you can take those risks like the Pokestop, throw away, maybe find some of those item cards which will help you close out and take those big KOs. You're not really worried about any shuffling on the other side from Aaron.
I think there's a Pokegear in hand to go along with that Pokestop. And Aaron's going to be trying to find another Professor Sada's Vitality, maybe? Maybe even just use the Boss's Orders in hand. But needs a way to get out of the active spot.
Ripping it.
Ripping it.
Needs a little bit of help here. Energy Switch.
Ooh, loses that Sada, though.
I mean, the combination here is retreat along with Boss's Orders, but it's not all there. There's not even an energy switch up and then have a good attacker.
Can we thin the hand down enough to maybe restart for a couple cards?
I think that is the line that Aaron has to consider here. I believe there's Ultra Ball.
So restart
along
is
with the VIP passes.
with Mew.
Fodder.
Its
Would that
ability
be permit to
restart.
Boss's Orders?
That's the real question here. You have to understand your energy counts in this position. Energy Switch is going to be thrown away. You can fail.
Mew's ability says that if you have less than 3 cards, you draw until you have 3 cards in your. So he may get rid of a bunch of stuff in his hand just so he could use that ability to draw more cards. Good draw engine.
Interesting escape rope draw, which would hurt so bad here.
Well, there's a Boss's Orders on the Giratina V, trying to avoid the V-Star knockout for now, and a big 3 cards off this Mew EX's restart.
Energy would do it. Switch cart would be great. Escape rope would hurt.
Earthen Vessel, that's going to do it for Aaron to be able to accomplish a big knockout this turn. Does have to discard a Dark Patch, though. But the other card in hand, another Dark Patch.
Okay. And looks like the last 2 energies in the deck being found. Look how thin the deck is at this point. Aaron has not taken a prize card. He's burned through all these cards in upwards of 3 turns.
Maybe we see a Kyogre from Aaron.
Hold up.
Someone's cooking.
Yeah.
Dark Patch on that Roaring Moon EX. That had no energies. Do we see the... Yeah, we can't even see the concealed cards because you don't want to discard the energy. There is the retreat. And we're going to see a Calamity Storm.
All right.
Taking a big
Who's
knockout,
going to knock out the
discarding that Pokestop.
Giratina?
Aaron's going to be able to find another energy from the prize cards. But other than that, not really working with much in hand.
Yeah, drawing first blood there, taking that big knockout. Obviously, Isaiah will have...
Isaiah has to put pressure
It's very
here.
important that
Like, Isaiah's got to
also
respond with
Giratina
this
V this turn.
Giratina V-Star.
Hold on to that Roxanne for the following turn and start to disrupt what Aaron's going to be working with. Because Aaron has 1 mission next turn to accelerate as many energies as possible onto this board. And maybe set up another Roaring Moon and get some energies onto that Mew, perhaps.
Well, this Nest Ball is going to help out Isaiah finding that second Giratina V, like you were saying. We do know there's the Mirage Gate in hand already, but with quite a few energy in hand. Does look like Isaiah has enough resources, though. Oh, they're all psychic energy.
That is ugly.
Yikes.
Might settle for a Star Requiem.
Goes back to looking at that Pokestop that we saw earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Lost the grass energy, but found the Mirage Gate, so win some, lose some.
So far, both of these players have been winning a lot of some.
At least 10.
At least 10. Both these players have a loss to give as well, at least with our calculations. 36 match points should be the safe spot for top 8. Both of these players sitting at 33.
You can tell every resource is just so important from this point. Trying to map out what is the potential that Aaron can set up really relevant Pokemon on this following turn. Get those energies down onto the Mew or the Roaring Moon on the other side. And losing the Path to the Peak here is pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Looks like it was another Mirage Gate, though, was the card found. Grabs just another Psychic Energy.
Yeah, you want to have a Path to the Peak when you use the Roxanne. It would also be nice to just play an additional one this turn so that you could shut down maybe some additional cards found from Restart or the Radiant Greninja draw, whatever it may be. You just try to shut
So
off
if
all
he
these
can
abilities.
get it into the active, he
You see
could
the switch.
knock it
Giratina start
out.
down the active spot. Grass Energy for the turn for Isaiah. And now he has the knockout with Lost Impact, but there wasn't 10 in the Lost Zone, so unable to get that Star Requiem, kind of save those energies. And 2 Psychic Energies going to Lost Zone.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about what Isaiah will be able to accomplish on the following turn. We already see a Giratina V-Star in the Lost Zone, the 2 Psychic Energy there. Finding the Mirage Gates was so difficult the first time, and if you do, it's just...
So now, you know, Aaron could respond by getting 2 more energies on a Roaring Moon, getting it in the active, which free retreat on Mew, not a problem. And then using Frenzied Gouging to completely knock out instant KO Giratina V-Star. Yep, so there's the 2 more energies. And that's going to put Isaiah in a bad way because he's struggling to find energies here. This is why energy and like resource management is so important.
We'll be there after this knockout. And it could be as simple as a Cramorant in this spot. And you know that Roxanne is waiting on the other side, most likely too.
And Isaiah still has not played Cramorant this game yet. Has access to Nest Ball in hand. That could be a great way to fetch it out.
Yeah, so Nest Ball could get the Cramorant, they were saying. There's 4 in the Lost Zone, so it could attack Roaring Moon for 110, because Frenzy Gouging put 200 damage on Roaring Moon, so it's only got 30 health left. So it's pretty low. That's the risk you go with Roaring Moon. So if he can get the Comfey out of the active, put up the Cramorant, he could knock this out for 2 prizes, and then they both have 2 prizes. The only thing... Yeah, that's what he did. And Aaron giving up because he's like, I know I'm not going to be able to get another Roaring Moon out and set up. So he conceded. So yeah, Isaiah wins the first one. Very nice, very nice. All right, so let's see what we got here. Chorus experiment again with the Lost Zone. You don't like seeing that. We got a Comfey. Don't love seeing that. Let's see. We got Mirage Gate. You know, that's going to be pretty crucial to getting those energies. Now, the good thing is he doesn't have a lot of energies. He's only got 2 in his prize cards. Now, what's big over here for Aaron is the Pokestops. And honestly, that's about it. 2 Pokestops out of probably 4 are in the prize cards. Now, if he can take the first 2 prize cards, typically what they do is take the bottom 2 prize cards first. So he'd probably get both of those whenever he took his first prize cards. So it'll be interesting to see what he does there. So Aaron's going first. He's got the Roaring Moon, Battle VIP pass to go grab 2 more basics. He's probably going to grab another Roaring Moon, most likely. No, Squawkabilly and okay, he's got another Battle VIP pass. Go get the Moltres. And Iron Hands, interesting. So you may be trying to take 2 prize cards from Comfey. So Iron Hands has the Amp You Very Much attack, which if the opponent's Pokemon gets knocked out from that attack, you get an additional prize card. So all 1 prizer cards turn into 2 prizer cards. If you were to knock out a VMAX card with that attack, it would take 4 prize cards because VMAXs are worth 3 prize cards normally. That's interesting. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, so he ended up getting another Roaring Moon out. So now it's a matter of, can he get enough energies onto the Iron Hands? What's interesting is he's putting energies on his Radiant Greninja and passes. I don't know what he's going for there. If he was gonna do the Iron Hands, why he would put them on Greninja? Guess maybe. Oh, I don't understand that. So we go over to Isaiah, who's, you know, doing the usual Lost Zone thing. Uses Colress's experiment. Looks like there was a Cramorant, there was an energy. What else did he have in there? So he's getting rid of a switch and an energy.
That Pokemon into the Lost Zone. Maybe there are considerations this time to continue to accelerate and draw more.
Okay, he's got
And you may be wondering
switch
why
card in the
Isaiah
Lost
isn't putting
Zone.
down that Battle VIP pass right away, but that's because with a deck like this, you want to try to find as many basic Pokemon as possible in the beginning stages. So if you thin out some of the basic Pokemon, you're just worsening your odds.
Yep. Any time that you draw into another Comfey, maybe even that Spiritomb, whatever it may be, that's just 1 less card that you have to find off the Battle VIP pass. You can add those additional Pokemon to your bench, and then you can build that perfect 5 that you're looking for. Aaron was able to do so with their board pretty easily, but I guess that's just how things work when you have triple VIP.
Isaiah's first deck search here is going to take a quick look, see what's prized, what resources you have available. That Sableye is in the deck now. Spiritomb is also there. And Isaiah does have access to Jet Energy in hand.
Okay, I was going to say, there's one very important Pokemon we haven't seen just yet.
Manaphy.
We need Manaphy this time around. Look at Aaron's board. You see that Radiant Greninja juiced up, and that would be very bad to lose that Pokemon, especially when you want to consider playing down a Spiritomb in a spot like this. There's just a lot of low hit point Pokemon that could be easily knocked out and turn the tide of this
So
game.
Giratina is one of the
Giratina
basics.
is one of the cards here, but do we see that very important Manaphy? If we see Manaphy, that means no second Comfey, which means no Spit Instantly.
Do you Jet Abyss Seeking?
So if I guess that leaves just 1 knockout in play for Moonlight
I like
Shuriken and
it.
double Giratina V. Maybe we are going to see it.
I like this a lot. This is a strategy where you see your opponent go for the Moonlight Shuriken. It's like, okay, cool.
Okay,
That will
so
give you
what's
no
happening
additional
there
90 hit points
is we talked about Greninja's attack does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, right? So he sees that Isaiah sees Aaron is beefing up that Radiant Greninja. And then what's happening is Isaiah's saying, no, I don't think I'll be putting out something that you could take. Because now, even if Aaron were to use Radiant Greninja's Midnight Shuriken move, he would only really be able to knock out this card, but damage one of the others. So it wouldn't necessarily be worth it at all.
Energies are so important. Last time he had 9 in the discard pile and turned 3 to 4. and here he has 0.
I'll be back.
Which leads to the
Y'all
clunkiness
keep
we've
watching.
talked about throughout this tournament. You need to draw all these cards in the right order. It's just not happening. And they're switching effect number 4 right now for Isaiah.
And there goes
Another.
Jet Energy into the Lost Zone. There's another Comfey in hand along with that Cramorant. Do you just play the Cramorant at this point and just start attacking?
You just rip the Chorus and
I mean, that would work
start
too.
going to town. Ooh,
A lot of energies in
that
those
would have
7
been
cards.
a great Mirage Gate.
I don't know if Mirage Gate would be as good if you had to look at the top 7 and take energies from there.
yeah, maybe that's how we balance it.
Maybe. So no Colorless Experiment just yet for Isaiah. Might have to do a little more ticking, maybe get another Comfey in play just so he can flower selecting. But again, that means 2 Pokemon that could be easily knocked out. And there's the last
They're all
switch
gone.
from Isaiah. No more getting out of the act spot unless it's a Jet Energy.
And I think that was Cramor. No, Cramorant's already in the hand.
Yeah,
What was
Cram's in hand. Manaphy?
that? Manaphy? Yeah. Blue guy?
I mean, there's 3 blue Pokemon in the list, and one's in play, one's in hand.
Blue
Yeah, there we go.
guy.
Manaphy. Pretty big pickup if Aaron's able to find something like Earthen Vessel next turn.
Yeah, that is the one card that Aaron is truly missing at this point. It would activate everything from here on out.
Well, here we see that Mirage Gate. Going to be able to charge up this Giratina V, but Isaiah still needs a way to retreat. I think we might see a second Mirage Gate just so you can retreat the Comfey. Grass Energy on Giratina V, or not. Psychic Energy and a Water on the active.
Likely meaning Grass Energy in hand for the attachment for the turn. Thinking of every energy, as obviously this was an issue in game number 1 with all the Psychic energies remaining.
We do see the second Mirage Gate. A couple energy on the bench. Giratina V, spread out the extra resources you have available to you. Hopefully get a couple attacks off if Aaron does have something. I mean, there's a possibility Aaron just brings up Greninja and retreats just to get an energy into this card so you can Sada.
Yeah, and those are all things that Isaiah is considering, and I think you still feel comfortable in a spot like this. Pretty likely that your Giratina will stick around at this point, but even if it doesn't, you have the secondary one to follow.
This is a strong board presence from Isaiah here. 2 Giratina V-Stars, essentially powered up.
Manaphy along with it.
Yeah. 2 energy to the Lost Zone, but that's going to power up Lost Impact for the following turn, just needing 1 more by way of Chorus or Flower Selecting.
Yeah, this is a very crucial turn for Aaron. If the pieces align, obviously the retreat opens up some of the draws, but if you can take the knockout this turn, there's a window. Isaiah only has a 3/3 line of Giratina V-Star. We see the V-Star in the Lost Zone already. If you knock out this Pokemon, there's a world where you run out, and there is no closing final 2 prize cards for Isaiah, unless you start attacking with Cramorant, sadly, into nothing.
Aaron needs Earthen Vessel off those 3 cards, but I don't know if he found it just yet. Oh, there is an energy. 2 more cards yet again.
Maybe 4 Sealstone, anything at this point just to help out.
No, there's been a couple of Pokegears, which aren't very good after you already played your Sporter for the turn.
We already have that piece.
Dark Patch in hand, but that Roaring Moon is in the active spot here. Nest Ball is going to be able to search the deck. Just a fail, though. You have access to Tire Flame Wings, no Spiritomb in play, Dark Patch. But again, the complete opposite of game 1, where Aaron was just flooded with energies in the first few turns. This is definitely not that game.
Yep.
All right. I'm eating, so I'll save you from seeing me
So
eat.
unfortunate. Yeah, you
But I'll
pass
come
the turn
in
on the
with
active.
different
now There
things,
is
so
the
we-
benefit that you know your opponent is struggling with the switching effects. You've
See
already
what we
seen
got.
5 switch cards.
So, okay, Isaiah took 2 prize cards. Nice, nice. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to get things up to 10 so that he can turn on Giratina's ability, or excuse me, V-Star attack.
Sitting and waiting.
Yep, starts to look a little like a checkmate situation. The main attacks that are going to produce those additional prize cards would be a V or EX Pokemon attacking, be 2 prize cards remaining. You already see that the V-Star will be available in this situation. And you could even use the Jet Energy on the bench Pokemon, bring that active, and just Lost Impact, throw away the Jet and the Water, and then both these Pokemon are ready to take the final knockout. However you want to do it, this will do the exact same thing.
And there is that Lost Impact, and the writing is on the wall for Aaron here. No way to knock out both of these Giratina V-Star in this turn, and honestly, no way for Aaron to really get an attack off right now.
Yeah, we need a knockout for pride at this point. It has not.
That's pretty big for getting like 2 Giratina V-Stars just like ready to go. Because now, okay, you've only got 2 prize cards left. You're Isaiah. You're like, I can boss up the Squawkabilly, Moltres, or Iron Hands EX, or Mew. And I've got 2 Giratina V-Stars geared up, ready to go to take away whatever I need. And I've got another Roaring Moon. I mean, look, if you're Aaron, you're in bad shape for sure. Definitely play it out to see what would happen, but it's not a great situation right now.
For how locked up Isaiah has this game, he looks very worried for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know what he's considering at this point. But let him do his thing.
Maybe what concession snack to got.
Yeah, okay.
Dark patch number 1. Potentially 2. I think it was 2.
Speaking of the concessions, I heard the cinnamon rolls are
Hey,
going crazy.
what is up with
well.
Isaiah's hands?
Yeah,
Look at
check
this.
out some, you know.
All right, well, let it be known. There will be cinnamon rolls.
Homie's got like bloody knuckles
Put this
right
up
there.
for the
What in the
stadium for
world?
Aaron here. For Sealstone, and it's just continuing this turn. Triple draw from Pokestop here.
I mean, that is exactly what you'd want 3 turns ago. All the resources finally lining up. You have this Mew ready to move out of the active spot. Frenzy gouging, ready for a knockout. The only issue is Isaiah doesn't have to pick 12 prize cards to win a game, only 6.
That would be rough.
He's down for the challenge. Who knows?
What is it? Dialga Palkia Legend or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that?
we've seen some nightmare situations. The graphics would not be prepared.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine if we had something like that nowadays?
That's why we're not on the design team.
For those of you at home, it was a Pokemon that just added a couple more prize cards to your opponent. You can do that attack multiple times. What, 16 prize cards at one point?
Yeah, circuitry was enough for me. I'm okay with this. Just 6 prize cards. That's what Aaron has on his side of the board. In a game state that is upwards, basically unwinnable from here. But obviously, you're playing for pride at this point. Your deck has been fantastic, winning 11 matches so far. You know what it's capable of. You gotta at least get yourself a little bit of content, showing some knockouts.
Hey, more time taken off means less time we have to just talk.
Cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, more time for cinnamon rolls.
I'm not exactly sure why Aaron's taking so long. I mean, writing's on the wall here. I guess he's just playing every possible out. Okay, he's going to take 2 prizes here. So he brought up Radiant Greninja. He knocks out... Whoa. Yeah, okay, I was going to say... Nice. Okay. Nicely done by Isaiah Bradner. Very good, very good. Then down to okay, so looks like we've got a
be pretty confident in their status with the 36
Growing
points.
Moon
Some early
and
victories.
Charizard,
See how it all
maybe?
plays out, as we certainly do have our winning in ready to roll soon.
Yep, round 15. We are ready for this winning in. Let's go ahead and take it down to the stage, meet our players.
Yeah, so we've got the Growing Moon, and then we got the Charizard. Let's go with the Charizard. So, again, another good matchup. We just saw Roaring Moon. Now we get to see Charizard and see what it can do.
De Leon on the left. Roaring Moon EX. This has been a deck that has been at the top of the tables for throughout this day 2 event. Kind of gets squeaked by Giratina.
See what the prize cards are here.
First look at the prize cards, as we see a little hint there with some
So,
energies included.
you got a Roaring Moon and Pokestop. That's not great. You got Rotom. Yeah, for Charizard, this isn't great. Because if you were to brick and like not pull any good cards, you're going to be in a bad way if you can't draw the extra cards that Rotom can give you. Yeah, that's about the only one though that I see there.
Yeah, Rotom V though, and the prizes for Caleb. That's one of the big Pokemon that you try to just start with turn 1 to get that instant charge going. Grab a little extra cards for your hand.
Often that can be an issue on these early turns. Also, just another great Pokemon for that for Sealstone. This is a list featuring only 6 of those fire energies as well, so gotta take note of that as well.
Yeah, they're very reminiscent of the list that Azul was playing back in Portland. And Caleb's gonna start things off, going first. Not really where you want to be with this Charizard EX deck, but has that Battle VIP pass.
I would write in all capitals, Rotom! Where did you go, buddy? That is certainly a card that you look for initially on the Battle VIP Pass search, and it's a little unfortunate to find out. But this is always something I love to watch with the younger players who have recently aged up. This is something they've been practicing time and time again, that opening deck search, and he's just fanning through cards, downloading so much information as he goes.
Listen, the younger you are, the faster your brain processes things.
processes things.
Exactly, yeah. We're old. Double Charmander seems to be the grab here for Battle VIP Pass. Well, at least one of them. Maybe that Mew is going to join the bench here. Mew is such a powerful basic Pokemon in this Charizard EX deck, able to find those item cards you need, like Battle VIP Pass, Ultra Ball, and Rare Candy, just to name a few.
Yeah, we see that Artizone in the hand as well. That's going to be a nice option to find additional Pokemon. I believe we see a Pidgey in the opening hand too, so a lot of access. Maybe you can work in that Manaphy early on, identifying that Julio is a player that has those water energies, and that could be a dangerous surprise occasionally.
Yeah, we still haven't seen something as impactful as the Moonlight Shuriken for a couple of prizes, but now with that Manaphy in play, you kind of just have to get rid of that idea in your mind and just go full Roaring Moon here.
Well, I've been following Julio a little bit as Julio played against my brother in one of the earlier rounds when it was basically you need to win every single round from this point forward in order to play. Looks like Julio has been able to do that, so on an absolute run here in the day 2, and looks like this start is just going to be even hotter as you have the opening Ultra Ball, double Darkness discard, Squawkabilly ready to roll.
Again, now Julio just searching the deck, seeing what he has available to him and what's prized. Having access to that Squawkabilly EX is so important for a deck like this Roaring Moon.
These are some great arts.
Oh, yeah. Going with all the full art cards. There's the alternate art, Lumineon V. And this is a card that we haven't seen too much lately with its Luminous sign, being able to search your deck for a supporter, put it in your hand. It was very popular during the Lugia era, even 2 copies in most of the decks. Now it's kind of seen as a liability a little bit.
Yep, and obviously you have plenty of those liabilities as we've seen Squawkabilly the Mew. At that point, who cares? Just have all the liabilities. Your opponent's still going to be likely taking those knockouts left and right. Double Roaring Moon ready to roll. And we can get one additional card too. This is quite the start here.
Professor Sada's Vitality gets the full 2 energy and draws 3 cards for Julio.
Double Cross Switcher?
What is going on here? This is a card we haven't really seen too much of lately yet again, but very good in this
Oh my,
deck.
there's an energy switch
wow.
too!
Oh my.
This
Double
is
Cross Switcher
ridiculous!
Pidgey.
He's got the Double Cross Switcher and then he's
This
throwing
is
the hand of Squawkabilly.
huge. So what happened here, he really lucked out by getting double cross switcher off that Professor Sada's, because what he can now do is basically bring up Pidgey and not allow Caleb to get the Pidgeot, which lets Pidgeot's ability lets you quick search, lets you get any card out of your deck that you want each turn, once per turn. And so by denying Pidgey and Rotom not being in his deck and Rotom being in the prize cards, he has really cut off some lifelines here for Caleb. That's really gonna hurt him.
6 brand new cards. There's even the Canceling Cologne in the list to actually pull off some shenanigans with Moonlight Shuriken.
Wow, what an opening start. Can only imagine what the Pokestop looks like. Sure, throw
Yeah,
away
I'll take
Dark
that.
Energy.
Yeah, sure. Galarian Moltres V to go along with it. Dire Flame Wings grab an energy. 4 energy in play on turn 1 for Julio here.
Unbelievable opening start to remove the Pidgey from play. Caleb tried to play it safe and play the Manaphy, think about some other resources. You don't think about double cross switcher taking out your Pidgey there on that opening turn.
Yeah, and you're fine taking that knockout on the Pidgey. Roaring Moon has 230 HP, so just out of range of Burning Darkness with Charizard EX. Caleb does have that Rare Candy. Charizard EX will be able to charge up itself as well as that Mew, so you can retreat. And I think there's a boss's orders in hand, so Caleb might just bring up that Mew EX, take the knockout, and try to prize race.
Yeah, I think I know which side of the field I'd rather be on with the prize race, though. It's the shiny side.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here, and this hand is still absolutely juiced.
Well, Mysterious Tail's going to hope to find a couple more
hold up.
cards here. Rare Candy.
Those are pretty good.
Ultra Ball. There's Lumineon in hand as well for Caleb. But I think if you play that, it's probably worst case scenario. Just opens up an easy knockout with boss's orders where you don't have to frenzy gouging.
You have to think that Caleb will run out of gas at some point. So you take the Ultra Ball. Maybe that's an option that opens up some other avenues soon enough, but discarding cards doesn't seem great when your hand's so low.
Yeah, especially when you don't have access to that Pidgeot EX with its quick search. Your deck is very limited on the options that you have available to you. Caleb was thinking there maybe about going back in, but I think we're just going to hold on to that Ultra Ball for the following turn. There's the retreat. Boss's orders that Mew. Caleb's going to be able to respond with a knockout here, but
Wow.
it is looking scary.
Yeah, think about the game that we just witnessed and how slow the prize cards fell off the board. We are rushing to a finish very early on, and we are not even 7 minutes into the game at this point. Cards flying left and right in the Earthen Vessel. Once more, looking for some additional energies.
Yeah, listen, if Caleb couldn't have gotten that Charizard out and responded with a two prize knockout, he'd be too far behind. He's now got to get a Charizard out every single turn. Stay ahead. That's going to be real rough.
Which is typically a way to continue to refresh that hand up. In this situation, you have energy right now as a way to maybe add some additional cards into the hand, so why not work that in, along with the Sada's Vitality, which will draw some additional cards here too.
Also important to note, the Charmander on Caleb's bench is not the attacking one here. Usually you find these Charizard EX players taking a knockout on a Roaring Moon EX that use Frenzy, gouging the following turn with just a simple attack of 30. But right now doesn't have that available to him. Dark Energy on the Greninja,
Yeah.
the Water Energy on the active.
A little surprising to see the energy to the Radiant Ninja as opposed to the Roaring Moon on the bench. You could just be a Dark Energy away from knockout on a return Charizard EX, which seems to be the worst case scenario from the other side.
Caleb promotes the Charmander here. Has Ultra Ball, Rare Candy, can go ahead and get another Charizard available. Just thinking about this Lumineon V. We'll go ahead and use it. Use that Luminous sign. Maybe we're going to see an Iono here.
That's certainly where I'd lean at this point, and you just have to assume that your opponent has an opportunity to accelerate onto that Roaring Moon. Not seeing the energy on that Pokemon is a little bit of an avenue to potentially see some light and maybe stick the Charizard in the active for more than one turn. But this is looking like a tough debate.
Arvin seems to be the supporter of choice, no?
I mean, Arvin leads into Charmander, which leads into another opportunity to maybe have a third Charizard, but you can also just use the Radiant Charizard that you have in your hand there. I feel like you get a lot of resources there, but it looks like the Super Rod is really important in this spot, as we see only 2 Fire Energies in the deck, which would mean there's no additional energy for the Radiant to close out.
Ooh.
This is the problem of only playing 6 Fire Energy in the list. You're very tight on the resources you have available.
Wow, he's only playing
Especially if you
6?
rise, that's really just the big detriment.
Yeah, it's a big danger.
I play 7 Fire Energies and a Jet Energy in my Charizard deck. I don't know how people could do less than that. It's just so difficult.
Prize cards, and this is still fairly dangerous.
Well, there is that Super Rod, a couple energies, 3
All
energies
right,
total.
so he's going to Super Rod to get those energies back in. Put down his other Charizard, get
EX
those
and
3
throw away
energies
the Charizard
out.
Again. But you're going to have to retreat here,
Energies
or just
here,
charge up that
one
Radiant Charizard. 3
here.
prizes for Julio. You still have a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, this is a great spot. Imagine telling Caleb, hey, you're going to lose your Pidgey on the opening turn. And sure enough, here you are. You've managed to make 2 Charizard EX and a Radiant Charizard.
Now, listen, the Radiant Charizard... Oh, he doesn't switch out the... Yeah, this is interesting.
But now he's running the risk of actually just losing the following turn to this Charizard EX.
Yeah, the situation now calls for finding a way to remove the 4 Sealstone, cross switcher, bring up Manaphy, and knock it out with Radiant Greninja, get to the 2/2 prize cards, and then try to close out the following turn. Hopefully your opponent doesn't have the boss's orders.
Earth Invest
Doing the
That's
Hisuian
enough
Heavy
energy
Ball.
left for Julio here. He's 1 in hand, and this is the awkward part about playing cross switchers with a card like Iono. 1 in hand, Iono trying to dig for more. You're going to put that second one on the bottom and never see it again.
Playing to outs that very difficult to find at this point. I don't believe there's even a way to remove that 4 Sealstone on the other side from Caleb.
Yeah, not playing a card like Lost Vacuum.
Wow, this
Canceling
is...
clone Iono. Julio's going to find 3, Caleb's going to find 2.
Oh.
Double Battle VIP Pass, Earthen Vessel. That's not going to do anything here, and there's not even an attack for Julio. And
Yep, who's ready for another game?
yeah.
Oh, that's
Right,
game.
well,
He's
such a
calling it.
crazy start from Julio
Wow.
there, but this is the power of Charizard EX and Caleb Robinson taking game 1 here in pretty exciting fashion.
That's pretty intense. That starting off on the back leg. I mean, that's intimidating as a Charizard player. When you're losing your Pidgey here, so he loses the Pidgey. Julio comes out with such an incredible hand, turn 1, and at that point, all you can do if you're Caleb and you're playing Charizard, you've got to apply pressure and just keep it going and hope that Julio can't get to the cards that he needs to. That was really impressive from Caleb. Julio's like, yeah, that's game. Like, you got me. The Radiant Charizard is interesting as a threat, as like a final attacker. Could be interesting to have in. And maybe that's why he's not playing 7 energies. Maybe that 7th energy that others have been playing, he removed in order to have the Radiant Charizard. But that is so risky. I guess in mine I could have put down... I could put down the Jet Energy. Take out the Jet Energy, but I'm so scared of Snorlax block decks that it makes me not want to. But all right, so the start of this one, Julio's going first. he's getting everything set up in terms of like what he wants to get out onto the bench with the Battle VIP pass. Going to grab in Radiant Greninja and Squawkabilly X. Now, as what's going on here?
Take a look, but we've also seen occasionally players will shuffle, then relook at the deck, and then shuffle again. Didn't know if it was a case of that or. I mean, we've seen all sorts of things, but thankfully this is not anywhere close to prize penalties situations.
Now with those warnings,
I guess maybe he didn't shuffle good enough, or they thought maybe he looked at it.
Ooh.
Concealed cards finds Professor Sada and a Dark Energy, but now with 2 in hand, is it worth it to Squawk and Seize here?
Yep, this is a list with the POW pad.
Has the Cross Switcher in hand as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so he's going to Squawk and
Rip off
Seize.
one of your cross switchers completely at this point.
Get a new hand.
Opportunities to draw into Asada's.
Now, if you're Caleb, this is a bad deal because you've got Luminion, who you don't want to be the first Pokemon. You want it to go from your hand to the bench so that you can use its ability to find a supporter card in your deck. So this is kind of a rough start, but I'm not seeing his hand, so I don't
3-2
know.
energy on the active Roaring Moon. It's going to threaten an attack for a knockout next turn.
Yep, and you have to think how difficult it will be for Caleb to move this Pokemon in the active spot. 2 fire energies already in the prize cards. That means you have 4 energies total to work with. You likely have
Okay,
to
so
have the
Arvin, so he's probably going to go get a Battle VIP
Dream
pass and
not an
a
option
Forest
in the
Seal
early game.
Stone.
And speaking of options, Caleb has the Arvin to start things off. Going second, has 2 in the prize cards, but just naturally has it.
You know, it's like Luminion did its job.
Yeah.
Except it's absolutely not pulling its weight this time around.
You know, Luminion having that powerful ability in Luminous Sign, only available when you play it from your hand to your bench. So it's one of the worst starters you can have in this deck. And one thing I do love to see players do is just take notes. Anytime you can ease your brain a little bit.
Or
for
a
the
Seal
future,
Stone.
You always want to save that brain power.
Yep, gives you an opportunity to use some of that
Battle
extra
VIP
time that
pass.
both these players will have in a matchup like this.
And
Prize cards
then
left and
he's
right.
gonna
You just
put
wanna make
Forest
sure
Seal
that you know
Stone on
exactly what the prize cards
Luminion.
are, so that when you are drawing into them, you can
Use
play
his
to
V-Star
outplay.
ability
Caleb is
power
drawing
so that he can
two
go get
additional prize
another
cards.
Battle
He doesn't
VIP
have
pass,
to maybe have
so he can
Great
get
Candy,
4
Charizard,
basics
Radiant Sword,
onto the
everything ready to
field.
go. He knows that those prize cards are there waiting for him. Maybe you draw into an Arvin, which you can count on later.
I think we're going to see a pretty full bench from Caleb here.
And there's
Eyeing down Target,
Rotom.
Rotom has that 4 Seal Stone in hand to fetch another Battle VIP pass to grab Manaphy, Pidgey. Now eyeing down that Mew. It does look like Manaphy and Mew is going to be the cards of choice for Caleb.
And
here.
if you
4
Mew
Seal Stone,
there,
Star Alchemy.
Forest Seal Stone,
Again,
get
such a
the
powerful tool card. in the
Battle
format,
VIP
being
pass,
used
use
for any
Battle
card
VIP
turns, any of your
pass.
Pokemon beat into a half Arceus.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
didn't get the
I was worried now
Rotom.
if there was a decision that had to be made, but Artisan is thankfully a bailout button to at least get the Pidgey into play. You see one cross switcher already down, so it's less likely that this Pokemon will be targeted once more, because that leads to so many easier decisions when you can pull any card out of your deck.
And one big thing too, if Julio does take the knockout on his active Luminion V, that's going to turn on Burning Darkness to take one-hit knockouts on any Pokemon Julio promotes.
Yep, it's
Yeah, Charizard
you're asking for a
can
war
hit
right now.
hard
If you
if
take that knockout, you have to be prepared.
Julio
You gotta follow
takes
up.
the
You need
knockout
additional energies
here.
on board. Every energy switch needs to be lining up to either an energy onto a Radiant Greninja or to a Roaring Moon at that point. And we'll see if the answers are there. Luminion can help out to find Asada's one of the 2 remaining in the deck at this point.
I thought I already saw the Professor Sada's Vitality in hand for Julio, but it must have been something else like that boss's orders. Maybe Iono. But finding this powerful supporter for the ancient trait Pokemon and be able to charge up this Roaring Moon EX in the active as well as that one on the bench, then you can save your energy attachment for the one on the bench. Does look like it was the boss's orders in hand.
All right, let's see.
Not only does Professor Sada's Excel energy to your ancient Pokemon, you can draw 3 cards too.
So he may try to
So
take
well
the
here.
knockout here,
Trying to build up a hand at this point.
but
Some
if
resources to
Caleb
maybe
gets a
have a game plan after this knockout.
if Caleb can get a Charizard on the field next turn, I think he's got the highest chance of winning here.
Yep, thankful to find that card. This is the exact turn where you'd like to find it. You already were able to draw some additional resources, and you shuffle back in Asada's an opportunity to accelerate some additional energies later on. Do you think he's ready, Jeremy? Sure, you can take the knockout, but are you comfortable with his current hand in the board state?
No.
Well, we'll see how Julio feels, because it's time. Knockout.
Yeah.
Calamity Storm taking
Knock
the
it
knockout,
out.
discarding the Art Zone from Caleb.
So Caleb's
And
got to
finding
get
that
a
Mew on the bench.
Charizard.
It's just such a great promotion. Already has Ultra Ball Rare Candy in hand. We're going to see the Ultra Ball
Okay.
out of a card here.
So he can get it online.
Again, it also depends what you hit with the Mew. If you go for the Pidgeot or if you just go for the...
So what he'll do is he's gonna use Ultra Ball to get the Charizard. Use Rare Candy to get Charizard out. Put 1 energy on Mew so that it can retreat. Put 2 energies on the Charizard. We also have a rare candy Pidgeot, so he can use quick search to go get whatever card he wants. He may use that. Okay, that's what he did. He Ultra Balled to get Pidgeot and then went and got... Okay, so now he Iono'd. I see where he's going. He's got Charizard in his hand. Now he just needs the rare candy. He can use Pidgeot's ability to go get the rare candy. Or, oh, 2 rare candies off the mysterious tail from Mew. So he's still got Pidgeot at this point. He could go get whatever he wants, like a counter catcher or something, if he wanted to pull something else up. I don't think he needs to, though, to be honest. I mean, he's really got everything he needs. So he's using quick search to find something. I don't know what it was. Radiant Charizard? Yeah. Okay. So he's going to get Radiant Charizard out there. Oh, and use Infernal Rain to go get it. He might be instead attacking with a single prizer. It's not a bad move if you know Roaring Moon, like, because this Roaring Moon is going to end up, yep, so he knocks out that Roaring Moon. This Roaring Moon could come back and knock this out, but then he's got a Charizard here, he's got a Charmeleon here, and he might be able, I think he has an Ultra Ball in hand, so he might be able to go get a Charizard next turn, and then he's got 2 Charizards out on the field. He's going to have to get a Charizard on the field next turn. Actually, he has to get a Charizard out on the field so he can get enough energies to power one of these up. Pokestop, Battle VIP Pass. That's not the best. Those new prizes are awful. Both of them. New prizes are awful. What new prizes? Oh, wait. What new prizes? Prizes are we talking about here? In the chat.
Roaring Moon too.
Yeah,
Julio?
cross switchers are at the top of Julio's mind here.
And now needs another energy to even attack. Ultra Ball, Sada, Cross Switcher.
Cross switcher.
Energies to actually switch anything to.
I think Julio's going to be forced to Ultra Ball this hand down for Mew and try to restart into an energy to attack with, or something like a Dark Patch maybe.
That's the lines I'm seeing.
It's not a great hand.
Has the switch card and go ahead and bring up Galarian Moltres V. Discards Battle VIP Pass. It has to be the Pokestop here. No. Discards the switch card. Unless I'm missing something.
I'm following the lines right there with you. It's
Just keeping the Pokestop in hand, that's one less card that you're going to be able to draw off
makes
restart.
this a little more difficult.
Especially because you're already switching with the Cross Switcher. Switch card, bring that Roaring Moon to the bench opens up a lot more plays.
And even in the perfect situation, you're able to knock out the Charizard on the bench with the cross switchers. What's your follow-up to another Radiant Charizard just knockout? And it doesn't seem great. The hand is starting to...
Oh, there is an energy switch. Okay.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was confused for
Oh,
a second. All the
energy
gold
switch.
just runs together.
Pokestop now, and the additional...
Oh, he
back
took out the
off Mew.
Pidgeot.
Yes, he took the damage. That's completely fine in this spot.
Actually, that's
Stay in the
that's
game. Now
fine
is-
because now he can bring back up Charizard and knock out this Roaring Moon. And go down to... But then he's going to have... I guess he could attack with Moltres. There's no 2-prizer on the field that he could take out with Moltres. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't know what Julio's going for here. I think Caleb's got it. I mean, he's going to try. Yeah, it looks like he's powering up Moltres. Energy switch to Luminion? Oh, I guess because Charizard's weak to water. Does he have a water energy? Yeah. Dang. Okay. So he could get the Luminion attack off. That Luminion attack is going to allow him to put Luminion back into his deck too. Get it off the field as a 2 prize. Yeah, so now the Luminion goes back into the deck. And then he promotes a 1 prizer, Greninja, and hopes that Caleb doesn't have a boss or something. Caleb really needs to get a Charizard out. I don't think he had... I don't think he had anything. Trekking shoes. Yeah, there's nothing really here.
Win the tournament. The difference in prize money between top 8, top 16, crazy.
I mean, the top 16 not guaranteed at this
Yeah.
point either for these players. It likely could be a top 32 huge swing, and that's just a pass of the turn. Caleb
It's just
holding
a
onto the Super
pass,
Rod.
yeah.
Considerations to find more items with the Mew.
Okay, we see a Dark Patch energy. You have Dire Flame wings. That's 3 energy on the Moltres. Can you get this Radiant Greninja out of the active spot? Pokestop, Sada. Can't Sada. There's no ancient.
Pokemon.
I think you
You could play Pokestop, but then your opponent gets to use it and maybe find a game-winning resource.
concealed cards the energy away. 2 cards here for Julio. Earthen Vessel Pokestop.
Everything's telling you to use that Pokestop, but I understand why you don't want to.
Earthen Vessel is going to be able to search for some energies that are left. It looks like, yeah, Dark Energy and a Water. Julio still has the attachment for turn available. Still has a supporter available. But I don't know if there's a supporter in the deck that can actually keep digging. I don't know if there's ancient Pokemon left in the deck. This has to be a Pokestop angle.
You have to consider maybe the Pokestop into a card like the Switch card here.
Big 3, no!
That's
No.
Not only is it difficult to see because you don't find the cards, but maybe you open up the
Pokestop
avenue for
didn't
Caleb to
return
find some game-winning
anything.
Cards.
I think you just have to go for it, right? Dark Patch attached to the Galarian Moltres and restart for 1. There's been, what, 1 Switch card played this game
Are you
so
using
far?
it one time, Jeremy?
1 time.
Oh, Julio doesn't want to use it, though.
Just
pass
pass
the
the
turn.
turn.
Dangerous.
Wow.
Wow. He found.
Is there... I think if Ultra Ball is found off this Mysterious Tail, Caleb can win the game right here.
Yep.
Gonna Pokestop first.
Yeah, Ultra Ball, there it
Charizard
is.
has the Super Rod, though, so you can Super Rod, a couple energies, and that Charizard EX back. And I think with that, Caleb should have this.
Yeah, so he's going to
Resources are all
Super
lined up
Rod
this
back
spot. Even without the
in.
Fossil Swords, you could bring back
Bring back energies in Charizard. Ultra Ball to get the Charizard. When it evolves Charizard, you get the energies. 3 energies. Boom, boom. Knock out the Mew. Boss's orders to knock out Mew. Well done. Well done. I mean, Caleb really started off on the back foot there in round 1. So to come back from round 2 and win that was impressive. Impressive. All right. I think that's going to be it. We may do another one later in the week. Watch top 6 or top 8, top 4 and top 2 from Charlotte. But this is going to be it for me today. Thanks everybody for watching. And